Yes, very good afternoon to one and all gathered here. So here we are going to start the third session of the afternoon, first session of the afternoon. Is our Mr. Dr. Raghavendra Rao. He is an INSA honorary scientist. He was a former director of Botanical Survey of India and the director grade scientist in CMAP, Bangalore. His specializations are taxonomy, ethnobotany, phytogeography, medicinal and aromatic plants, biodiversity and conservation. He was served as a botanist at Botanical Survey of India, Shillong in 1990s, a lecturer and reader in NAH University, Shillong. He visited many countries for so his biodata, which is going like this. So with the time concern, I stop here. I will on behalf and the St. Joseph's College Management behalf and the department behalf. I welcome our resource person. Welcome, sir. Over to our resource person.
Okay, thank you.
Now you can present your slides, sir.
Yeah. No, you went for what? Yes, this one. Okay, leave it. Yes, Dr. Tangraj, can you see the slide? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. It is very visible. It is very
Visible
clear.
now? Okay,
Yes,
can I
sir.
start now?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if you want to, okay, only by hand. Okay. I'm sorry, I have a lot of problems with my laptop, so I'm not able to talk through my laptop, but I'm using my mobile, and I'm not really comfortable with this kind of virtual lecture workshops, but somehow I cannot refuse Tangraj, so I have accepted this. To everybody, and hope everybody is properly seeing the slides. But I will do a very important message at the end with regard to our biodiversity. I also thank Dr. Tangraj and Professor Bhagraj for giving me this opportunity to talk. Several times, I think I must have talked in their college several times, but that was something different. This is something different. And talking to the college is not new to me. Somehow, maybe because of the situation, we are all forced to go for online lectures like this. But anyway, let me justify the workshop. Now, I have selected a topic which is this is the problem with my mobile now. Yeah. I hope you are all seeing my slides. Tangraj?
Yes.
You are seeing my slides,
Yes.
nah?
Slides are moving, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the problem. It moves so fast and it becomes difficult for me to adjust also sometimes. This is the one. Anyway, now I will try to
you can move one by one, sir.
Stay with me. One by one only I will go now.
Yeah.
Now you see, now this is biodiversity. What I was talking is now this is my talk first. Certain challenges, emerging challenges in biodiversity I have talked. Now, biodiversity, every one of you know what is biodiversity, and the definition of that is now too old now. Everybody knows biodiversity, but my point is how best we can utilize our bioresources. That is the major challenge. And your title also says new horizons in biodiversity. What is that new horizon? Should be one of these new horizons should be this. How to utilize converting our biological wealth into economic wealth should be one of the major challenges in the coming decades. So with that thing, I will try to discuss now. Biodiversity is this. What you are all seeing now is this is biodiversity. There is a fish, there is a tiger, there is a lion, there is a orchid species, there is a snake. All that collectively is biological diversity. Diversity in terms of number of biological types in a given region. So that is biodiversity. So if you have to measure biodiversity, collect all, accumulate all the living organisms. If it is only plant diversity, you want to study floristic diversity. If you want to study animals and plants, it becomes biodiversity. Collect all these together, count and say 500 species or 20,000 species is the biodiversity. That is in terms of number of species. Now, here is a slide where within a particular family, this is, for example, all papillones within one family, different kinds of species. That is the you can measure the biological diversity or the species diversity within the same family. Yes, that is possible. Here is the case within the same genus. For example, Utricularia. How many species are there? I have shown only a few species, but within the same genus, the number of species. So the biological diversity can be counted at any level. And here is a case within the same species, the type of variation, the amount of variation you find, that is biological diversity. So biological diversity can be measured at any level in terms of species. It could be within the family level, it could be within genus level, within the same species. But today, what we know is the number of species. Say with reference to India, how many species are there? We know that is with reference to the country. Now, within the species, what is the population? We do not know, and that is what is called infra-specific diversity or population diversity, genetic diversity. This kind of variation we have not measured with reference to the wild flora. For cultivated species, yes, some amount of studies have been conducted. So the whole area is open for challenge for investigation now. This is one at the measuring the species diversity. Now here is a slide again. It gives a number. See, angiosperms I have given certain number of species. A number I have given gymnosperms I have given pteridophyte. There is no sanctity with regard to the number. What is known today, I have just tried to list 1,750, 19,000 species, roughly 18,250 species. But this number goes on changing when more and more biological investigation, exploration will take place, new inventarization and new additions come. So therefore, there is no sanctity to this, but what we know, it gives us the number of species. But please understand, biodiversity is not a game of numbers. Just because angiosperms, there are 18,000 species are there, oh, so huge number of species are there in India, so it is very species, no criteria for assessing the biodiversity, but it is the total diversity, including infra-specific diversity, that is diversity. So I will give you an example. China, for example, has almost 47 to 48,000 species of flowering plants. Flowering plants. I'm talking of angiosperms. Whereas in India, roughly we are 18,200, 18,900, something the species are there. So now the China always claims that our biological diversity is much richer, far richer than India. So they always boast. Yes, in terms of species, yes. They always argue with them, saying that Indian biodiversity is the richest in the world. Even China cannot be compared to us because our diversity is much richer because of the large number of variations that we have. Variations in terms of habitat. Habitat variations we find here. So therefore, there is a possibility the infra-specific diversity in India is much higher than any other country in the world. So that is the one. Infra-specific diversity we do not know, and that we should try to go. Now again, this is a figure again shows how many of them are endemic plants in the country. So we have almost 18,000 species, and out of which the problem with my mobile, actually it goes on. Problem with leave it, take it. Then yeah, leave it. Yeah, leave it. Now I will. Now why was this? Okay, leave it. Yes, okay. Now there are angiosperms. I told there are almost 18,000 species. In that endemic plants, how many endemic plants are there in our country? Almost 4,300. That means these endemic plants are ours. Why endemic plants play a role, important role in the not only in the conservation program but also in the utilization aspects. Tomorrow, if any product is developed from out of our endemic plants, the entire royalty or the 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 benefits should come to our country. So therefore, this is our material. So therefore, endemic plants play an important role in the economy of our country. So that's I will talk in the end later on. Now, what for biodiversity is important? You all know this. There is no need for me to emphasize biodiversity, why it is used. Required for everything, starting food, whether it is the air, good air we breathe comes from again the green plants, the food we eat, and the clothes we wear, the dwelling units that we get, the aesthetic, everything comes from the biological diversity. So therefore, biodiversity is important. India is considered as a mega diverse country. Out of the 14 countries, India is one of the mega diverse countries because of the fact, a number of factors I have just listed, one or two only I will tell. This was supposed to be the Hindustani center of origin of cultivated plants, according to Webilaw. Indian region forms one center where it has given rise to large number of cultivated plants to this world. The second one is it is a cradle of flowering plants. The angiosperms have originated and diversified in Indian region. A large number of angiosperms, that is particularly the northeastern region to Fiji Islands, forms the area where large number of primitive flowering plants are accumulated there. So therefore, we consider that region as a cradle of flowering plants. That is the cradle of flowering plants where angiosperms have diversified. And nearly 50% of the global aquatic plants we find in India. That's another region. So enormous amount of diversity we have in our country. Right now, if you see the down, this diversity is scattered in 3 or 4 regions. 4 regions, which are those: the Himalayas, Western Ghats, Northeast India, Andaman and Nicobar Island. These are the 4 regions where the and now I call these as hotspots. Now again, what are biological diversity hotspots? That is the one thing I will just quickly tell. These are the 4 hotspots in India. Now many of us often feel very proud to say that India has 4 hotspots. Now we should feel sorry to say that India has hotspots. Why? Because what are hotspots? Hotspots are areas where there is high concentration of native biodiversity, including endemic plants, but at the same time, there is the severe anthropogenic threats to that area, human disturbances to that area. So it is said that as much as 70% of the original forests are destroyed, those areas are considered as hotspots. So in India, if there are 4 hotspots, all these 4 hotspots, we have already destroyed 70% of the original forest. So therefore, we should feel sorry. Now, when you come to Western Ghats, when you come to northeastern India, these are the particularly in the West Himalaya, the northeastern India, I'm talking northeast India and Western Ghats, these two, it is said 90% of the original forests are already destroyed. Can you imagine? 90% has already gone. So therefore, we term these two areas not simply hotspots, but they are hottest hotspots. So people should not feel proud to say that we have hottest hotspot, but we should feel sorry. I think that is what biological diversity hotspots and a lot of in this. Why there is great biodiversity in the country? One reason is India is the only country where almost all habitats you can think of on this world you find here. That is the plus point for us. Any habitat you can think of, whether it is dry deserts, cold deserts, alpine, temperate, any aquatic plants, anything you think we have in our country. So therefore, because of the diverse habitats, the enormous diversity of flora we find. As I said again, in terms of number, but intra-Pacific diversity we have not assessed. Please understand, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, you take a species, Ravalpia serpentina, you take that species, go on collecting from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, you will find lot of cytotypes, ecotypes, chemotypes, phenotypes, any amount of variation, and that is the biodiversity. So therefore, we have not assessed this. So therefore, there is a possibility because of the presence of large number of the diverse habitats in our country, enormous diversity is 100% expected. Now, another reason is Himalaya acts as a zone of active speciation. This is again a plus point for us. Himalayas are considered to be the youngest chain of mountains in the world, youngest chain of mountains. And all other mountains, for example, the surrounding mountains, which you can see here, I cannot point or I cannot show that, but you can see the northern part, the eastern part, all those places, the mountains, what you see, there are 300 million years old. Most of the Chinese mountains, they are all 300 million years old. The left side, the western side, you have the Urano-Turanian region, where those Mediterranean elements come from that region. They are also 300 years old, 300 million years old. Western Ghat is also 300 million years old. Now, Himalaya is the only mountain system which are all said to be 16 to 70 million years ago. So that means youngest chain of mountains. Now in Himalaya, we say there is high concentration of biodiversity. In fact, 40% of the flora is endemic. Now you can think, if 40% of the Himalayan flora is endemic means it occurs only in the Himalaya and nowhere else. Himalayas are youngest chain of mountains. They have, see, all other surrounding mountains are 300 million years old. So any species that we find in the Himalaya either must have come from China or from the Mediterranean region in the western side. I think that is quite logical to say. But then we say 40% of flora is endemic. From where this endemic species have come? That is because when the species have migrated from a far off region, they have passed through different agroclimatic zones. Some are favorable, some are unfavorable. With the result, by the time these species have reached the Himalayan heights, the phenotype and genotype have changed so much that they have become independent species. That's why we call Himalaya as an active zone of speciation, and I don't find any mountain system in the world is as active as the Himalaya. So therefore, this is a plus point for us. And for species I have said, for example, I will say rhododendron, primula, and corridor. Some of this genera which are Berberis. Berberis is a good example. In fact, 98% of the Berberis are endemic to Himalaya, but they have all come from China. The genus Berberis has come from China, but here the species are totally endemic. So therefore, there is a possibility in an enormous variation we find. Now my point is this: biodiversity is very rich. Everybody accepts this. India is very rich in biodiversity. But today we don't. We need not get satisfied that with a rich biodiversity we have. No. What we need today is that we need to convert our biological wealth into economic wealth. Why? Because after the Rio Convention on Biological Diversity, it was held recently in 1997, the Rio Convention and held. And in India, we have also passed the CBD rules, everything. We have all the parliament also has passed. Now that you are all familiar, the Rio Convention says that many of the rules of bioconvention, that I don't want to say that any plant that occurs in a country is its sovereign property. All that is known. Yes, it is ours. Nobody can take. More than this, the convention says if any other country uses the genetic wealth or the genetic material from one country and develops a product 50% of the royalty has to come to the country from where the genetic material has gone. So that is one very important for us. And also it says the countries in the future, those countries having a rich biodiversity are going to rule the world. They are going to become most powerful countries in the world. So if that is the case, China and India in this part of the world are strong countries because we have very rich biodiversity. No comparison, very rich biodiversity. But now my question is, keeping a rich biodiversity make you country strong. You put a iron fence all around and say that I have rich biodiversity, so I am strong. No, unless you convert your biological wealth into economic wealth. So therefore, this is a major challenge in the coming decades for all of us. And of our biodiversity, those days have gone now. What is new is how to convert our biological wealth, conservation, and converting that into a product, making use of that. And that is what is that can be done, making use of the bioprospection, which I will talk at the end. So this is where our challenge lies, converting our biological wealth. So let us not feel very happy we have a very rich biodiversity. Yes, we feel happy. For all 100 years we have been happy, but now what is needed? How to convert this biological wealth into economic wealth. Now, this biodiversity is scattered different zones of the country in a different ways. The biological diversity is not uniform, but it is scattered different places. Sorry. Now, the different colors I have shown here from one of my book only. Now, the diversity in the extreme Trans Himalaya in the north is something different from what we get in the Western Ghats. And in the Deccan Plateau, what we get is different from what we get in the Rajasthan area. So therefore, depending upon the climatic conditions, the edaphic conditions, and the topographic conditions, the floristic diversity varies from place to place. And depending upon that, the phytogeographers are classified into the country into different biogeographic provinces. Now I will take you very quickly, one by one, to one all these areas. Now, for example, extreme north, I told Trans Himalaya. This is the kind of vegetation that we find. It is a cold desert area, very harsh climate, nothing grows there. Very small patches of vegetation you find here. And where you find the right side of that slide, you can see clump farming, cushion farming type of vegetation you find. And that is the unique habit that you find in the cold desert regions, which is also called the Trans Himalayas, extreme harsh climate. But at the same time, there are large number of unique species which are also important medicinal plants. Now, my question is, yes, all these are unique species, but how long we will go on telling unique, and all that? Now we should utilize. How can we use this now? Now the question comes before biotechnologists and molecular biologists of the day, that how, in what way you can use these bioresources. This is a different kind of habitat you find, very harsh climate and all that. And this is a slide which shows that the clump farming or cushion farming habit of the cold desert plants, and Thylacospermum and Acantholyman are the two species here I have just shown, which in once you enlarge this, thousands of plants get aggregated together to form a cushion. That is the uniqueness of thousands of plant species get aggregated and that form a cushion. Why? Because this area is covered by snow for almost 7 months, nearly 30 to 40 feet snowfall. And since 30 to 40 feet snowfall is there for 7 months in a year, the tiny plants, individual plants cannot survive. So the habit adopted is that they all get aggregated together to form a hemispherical cushion so that they can survive the severe harsh climate. And that's one of the adaptations that we find here in the cold deserts. That's one of this. The other one is the highest altitude known for a flowering plant in the world. It is a Guinness record again. Highest altitude known for a flowering plant comes again from the here and Christolia, which a drastic timber. This is the plant Christolia himalayensis. Now, when you come down a little bit, 500-meter come down, we have a typical alpine habitat like this. Typical alpine habitat, which you can see snow-covered peaks everywhere, and during certain part of the year, here also it is covered by snow. But one of the uniqueness of the alpine plants are extremely beautiful plants. They are all extremely beautiful. The flowers are much larger compared to the size of the plant. They are all ephemeral in nature. Ephemeral in nature, they complete their life cycle within a short of 10, 15 days and complete their life cycle. So their phenology is adjusted in such a way that one species flowers, the entire population flowers, because that is the rhythm that they have developed. One species flowers, say, the whole area will be red. Next day, because there are very shallow days, 3 days, flowers will be there, they will drop, and the other species come and take the place. Say, for example, Corydales, yellow, entire will be yellow. Third day, then she whole area blue. So that flowers, there is a rhythm in flowering. So ephemeral are all very interesting, very unique, and they adjust to the climate because of the very few pollinators in the region. They have to adjust to that. All the species, if they come to flower in one go, they may not get pollinated. So this is one adaptation. So one species after another, one species. So therefore, this the right side one, center one, you can see that is the unique place called the Valley of Flowers. Now, a portion of that Valley of Flowers, just botanical extravaganza. This is the Valley of Flowers, beautiful plants you find in this. Now, we call it as a botanical paradise. Botanical paradise, or botanists, it is it's a mecca for all botanists. Every one of us should visit. Even the non-botanist travelers, in fact, they visit a lot there. Every year, tourists go and enjoy that beauty. Botanists should definitely visit. It's a wonderful place. But this also has some legends associated with this. It is said to be the garden of Indra. It was Nandan Kanan, or garden of, it is a God's garden. It's such a beautiful one because the unique plants are there, very beautiful plants are there. So it is said garden of the thing. Now my point now is, as I have been talking, we don't need beautiful plants. See, that we have seen already 100 years, 200 years, we have been seeing and enjoying. We don't need this. But today, my question is, how we will convert this into economy? We want money. India has to become strong. India has to become very rich. It has to rule the world. So we have to, making use of our natural resources, we should convert. Now, this is a place where there are a large number of beautiful plants, but beautiful plant is something different than utilizing. But this legend says this is the place where the Lord Hanuman of Ramayana visited this place, which was at that time called Kakabusandi Valley. Anyway, don't bother, there may not be science, but understand that he visited this particular place to collect Sanjeevani, a plant, Sanjeevani, to treat Lakshman, who was wounded in Sri Lanka, who was wounded in the Sri Lanka. That story, every one of you must be knowing. So between war between Lord Ram and Ravan, this fellow gets injured, and Hanuman was sent all the way from Sri Lanka to go and bring that Sanjeevani plant. So what we should learn from this, this may not be, but even during the epic Day-1, people knew that Himalaya is a place where Sanjeevani-like plants are growing. So even during those days, they knew. Now my question is, what is Sanjeevani? Now that is the next question comes, Sanjeevani. If Sanjeevani-like plants are growing, all right, fine. What is the Sanjeevani? Sanjeevani is that miraculous plant which can bring back to life almost a dead person. So that's the one. Almost a person is in the deathbed, and this plant can bring back to life. So that is a miraculous property it has. So that is Sanjeevani. Now, do we know what is that Sanjeevani? Now we do not know the Sanjeevani. A large number of plants are attributed as surrogates of Sanjeevani. This is Sanjeevani, that is Sanjeevani, this is Sanjeevani. We do not know. Suppose we pinpoint the identity of that Sanjeevani. This is Sanjeevani. India can become the richest country in the world. Only one species can make the country the richest in the world. That possibility definitely is there. But we do not know. What we did, yes, we surveyed the Himalayan, the Valley of Flowers, few years when I was in the botanical survey, And large number of medicinal plants we collected, large number of medicinal plants. How did we collect? Making use of the local people. They, what for they use Adivasi people, the ethnic knowledge, I will talk later. The ethnic knowledge is supposed to be the wonderful information that we have in our country, apart from biodiversity. They say this is used for cancer, this is used for headache, this is used for jaundice. That kind of information, what is there, we should try to accumulate. Now, based on that, we collected a large number of medicinal plants, and each one of them can be equated to Sanjeevani. I don't say this is the Sanjeevani. Again, don't question me that this is Sanjeevani. No, this has, all these plants have miraculous properties which can cure the diseases. Such wonderful medicinal plants are there. Now, my question to all of you is, what is it we have done? What is it with all these wonderful medicinal things we have done? We have not been able to bring even one global level product to this world. One product from India we have not been able to bring at the global level. Although small scale Patanjali or Kotakal Ayurveda, many places may have small global medicines, but at the global we have not pushed. So several Sanjeevani like plants are there. Why should not why should not we go for product development, which requires very intensive scientific investigation and bioprospection? I think this is one point you should keep it in mind. And as I said, the DRDO people have tried to do a lot of experiments and then tried to identify a plant which they claim this should be the Sanjeevani plant. What is that plant? That is rhodiola. Rhodiola walliciana is a species, should be the Sanjeevani. Why? Because they say it is the one wonderful species which has got very interesting property of the nullifying effect of gamma radiation. So that's a wonderful property this plant has. High elevation. This plant grows in very higher elevations. It has got nullifying effect of gamma radiation. And also it has immunomodulatory, adaptogenic properties, wonderful. And if some of you remember, our Honorable Prime Minister, on 2 or 3 occasions, he has mentioned about this plant. Particularly when he was talking about Ladakh, he says that such and such a plant is there, and it is the duty of all scientists to make use of this plant and bring it to the welfare of the human beings at the world at large. And this is exactly what is needed. We should try to go intensive bioprospection, we should go intensive scientific study, we should go develop regular or organized pharmacopoeia, grow for global level products that we should try to go. And these are all the plants. This is that rhodiola plant. Those who are interested, this is the photograph of the rhodiola walliciana, cold desert, a wonder plant which can be equated to Sanjeevani. Please don't think that this is Sanjeevani. It can be equated. It has got that kind of good properties that should be utilized. Right? Again, the same problem comes. Yeah. Now, when you come down in the Himalayas, we have wonderful habitats like the Valley of Flowers I told, and there are also what are called the broad-leaved and temperate forests. Now, cold deserts, yes, broad-leaved and temperate forests are also there. Now, here is a situation where all these are temperate flora. Temperate flora, either if it is a gymnosperm, it is a temperate conifers. If it is a broad-leaved, temperate broad-leaved, or mixed forests also. These are the tallest trees. The center one which you see, the top, that is the tallest tree that we have, Abies webian, Abies pindro. That is the tallest species of gymnosperm that we find. Down below, a beautiful blue-flowered plant is aconitum. Aconitum is a very wonderful medicinal plant, very costly medicinal plant. In fact, it has tubers. Down below, it has got small tubers, and the tubers cost almost 4,000 rupees 1 kg. So local people go collect, and it all in the pharmaceutical industries, all these fellows, nobody is bothering to cultivate this. They are collecting, and out of 27 species of the aconitum today, 16 species have become critically endangered. 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, you walk, you may get one plant. So endangered, it has become so critically. Now our biotechnologists know, all of us know, it is so possible now. You give me one cell of the plant, I will multiply and give you cartload. Now, why don't you select this kind of plant? multiply this in truckload, carload, earn money, make money, you become rich, India becomes rich. So this is the converting the biological wealth. Only thing is we should try to identify the proper species and hit it. So one species can change the economy of the country, I told. Now this is again a wonderful slide. Here you can see there is a gymnosperm plant. The left one, extreme left red one, is the Ephedra gallardiana, and the center one is Amanita. Of course, that everyone should be know. There is a flowering plant. All these plants are said to be the surrogates of Soma. Now, in the Vedic literature, there is the mention of Soma or Somras. Somras or Soma. What is the Somras? Somras is an intoxicating, highly invigorating tonic drink, highly intoxicating drink, which can be compared to the modern whiskey, which comes from Scotland. Scotland is a small country. In fact, any district in our country is much bigger than Scotland. So, such a small country, but with regard to the beverage, the Scotland is ruling the entire beverage world and making money and taking money from both hands. Our information about this so-called beverage, intoxicating beverage, which we call somras, is 5,000 years old, which are mentioned in the Vedic literature, and 5,000 years old information. It is highly invigorating, highly intoxicating, highly intoxicating, psychoactive properties. It has such a wonderful plant. Now, what for we take Scotch? The same property we had. And it is mentioned in the Vedic literature that the active principle of the so-called soma, active principle, passes through the alimentary system of human beings almost unmetabolized. What does it mean? Whatever property the soma has, when the person goes for urination, even the urine has the same property, unmetabolized. Such a wonderful property it had. So even the poor fellows who are unable to drink soma of those days, they used urine of those people who used to take somras, and they used to drink. That urine drinking habit actually came from because of this soma. Now we do not know what is this soma today. We don't know what is. There are so many 27 species are said to be the surrogates of soma. And if we again identify that particular species and also bring back, try to look into the technology and how Soma was prepared and all that, if we are able to resurrect this species, the Somras, resurrect this technology, India can become a very rich country. One species again can change the economy of the country. Only thing is we should try to identify that kind of species and go for utilization. Now, here is again, there are large, all of these medicinal plants are given. Each one is a highly important medicinal plant in the Himalaya, and every plant can be used, taken for a product development, all that. But my point is, we have not been able to do. So far, what we have done is only, yes, we are discussing, describing it, we are making photographs, putting it in the seminar rooms, all kind of things, but we have not attempted to utilize this. All this information comes from the ethnic leads. Ethnic leads are from the Adivasis. Large number of information is there. We have not been able to go. Say, for example, this right side one center is what is called the tree species, which is a very, it's supposed to have been planted by Adi Shankaracharya near Badrinath, the Himalayas, Badrinath. Now, this plant, if really been planted by Adi Shankaracharya, then this should be the oldest species that we have in our country, oldest tree that we have in our country. Now, can anybody think what makes this to survive for such a long period? Is there something which that something is not available in other trees? That is exactly the question somebody should think. If there is something in this, that something today we call in terms of genes. Are there any genes for of this species? Take those genes, harvest those genes, and so that we can postpone this senescence. These are all the exercises for the future. One should think now. What we think today may not be possible. After 50 years, it may become really a possibility. So that kind of things we should try to look in. Now there are large number of rhododendrons. You can see the red flower, white flower of rhododendrons. Wonderful rhododendron species we have. 98 species of rhododendrons are there in the Himalayas. from almost West Himalaya to Arunachal. Arunachal and Sikkim are the center hotspots for rhododendron. Huge amount of rhododendron you will find. Except for black, almost all colors of rhododendron you will find. Dark red, light red, yellow, dark yellow, white, dark white, all kinds of beautiful colors you will find. Right? Now, what we have done, yes, they are all very beautiful plants, no doubt. But what we have done so far, again, making a nice photograph, description, many books, all is okay. What is his basic information is necessary. But what is required today is, now have you been able to cash upon our bioresources? Now you go to the European countries, in the UK, for example, in the nurseries, all these species are multiplied so much, and each one seedling they sell in terms of 13 to 15 pounds in the UK. I just inquired about 13 to 15 pounds for one seedling of our rhododendron. That costs almost 1,500 rupees one, and they are earning money. Why should we not do this in our country? What is the problem with us? Why should we not bring these things under man-made settings? We have not been do that. So this is where I am telling, converting our cash is a major challenge in the coming decades now. These are all very beautiful plants. I will just quickly go through because I also I must keep. Eastern Himalaya, for example, I have just given. Those of you are interested, you can take all my slides later on. These are life zones, very beautiful. It's a what is called the zonation pattern you find in the Eastern Himalaya, and according to the altitude, different kinds of species are there. Fine. Now this is the actually northeastern region is the one which comes the cradle of flowering plants, sanctuary of ancient and very rare species, and also it is a highest rainfall zone in the northeastern region. Is this is the one highest rainfall zone. The Mysindram and the Chirapunji area come here, but the point is here also enormous diversity you find. Now one plant again, one only I will try to give. Extreme, the left side extreme down is the species which is Sapria himalayana. Let understand about this. But what I want to draw your attention is not that's a beautiful plant, it's a parasite. Oh no, I don't want that. How to convert that? Now, for example, this species is a rootless, leafless, stemless parasite. Nothing you can see. Only when it flowers, you will see. Evidently, this is the biggest flower we have in our country, almost 35 to 40 centimeter across in diameter. Very beautiful plant, very attractive crimson red plants. And the uniqueness of this is it is so bad smelling or foul smelling that you cannot go nearer to this plant. Such a bad smelling. Now the biotechnologists should identify, yes, identify the genes responsible. Are there some special genes which are all responsible for pollination? If so, take those genes, harvest those, and put it in some common plants, and which can be grown all along Indo-Pakistan border. At least biological warfare, we should try to use this. So this is how we should make use of our bioresources. Now, each plant has an important this thing. I will only tell one or two things. Now, rhododendron, very beautiful rhododendron I was talking. You can see this rhododendron, all colors of rhododendron you will see. I don't want to tell the names and all that. The other equally important group is the orchids. Wonderful orchid, 1,200 species are there in our orchids in our country, and most of them are extremely beautiful. And uh, the uniqueness of the orchids are again they are long lasting flowers. Once it flowers, almost 7 to 8 months it will be in flowering. So that is a uniqueness. Once it flowers, you put it in one corner, 1 year, it will be nicely in flower, that part. So such a long lasting flower, that's attractive one. And now again, what we have done again is the same thing. We are trying to multiply conservation, description, all that archidarium establishment. I think that is required, but we have done this long back, Archidaria. But today you go to either Thailand, Bangkok, Singapore, anywhere you go, bus stand, railway stations, airports, everywhere they are selling these orchids like anything and making money. Why should not India do this? Now this is exactly what is required. We have to cache our bioresources. So all of these beautiful plants are there. We should try to cache this. But unfortunately, orchid wealth is also being diminished like anything. Now, for example, the right side, the topmost one, blue flowered orchid, you can see that. And that orchid, 100 years ago, 100 years ago, when Hooker, British botanist, came to, British botanist is the one who has written the Flora of British India, 7-volume Flora of British India, for those who do not know. Now, he came to botanize near Chirapunji area, and he says he was able to collect this plant almost equal to 7 men's head load. How much a person can carry, that he engaged 7 people to collect this plant, and the 7 men said load he carried for planting in the European botanical gardens. So that is how the British botanists have exploited our the plant wealth. Now my point is, 100 years ago, so much of plants you could collect in Chirapunji area, but today whole month you survey, you will not get even 7 plants. So in 100 years, to this extent, the orchid wealth has been completely denuded, diminished. So therefore, time at our disposal is very short. What we have, multiple, don't bring it from the nature. Multiply tissue culture techniques. You have got any number of techniques today. Multiply those things and try to develop agrotechnology for all this. Popularize them and send it to man-made settings. Most of the man-made settings, all our nurseries should sell our own Indian plants instead of selling the foreign or European plants. I think that we should now do that. All these beautiful orchids that we have in our country, Aerides, Rinco stylis, these are all beautiful orchids. Large number of wild relatives of crop plants in our country. All are wild relatives. See, any cultivated plant in the country, you think it has got a wild relative. So most of this is the wild solanum, wild rose, wild amaranthus, wild musa, wild ginger, wild punica. Lot of punica is pomegranate. All these are wild relative. I have only shown one slide, but innumerable kinds of wild relatives of cultivated plants are there in our country. Why wild relatives are important? Because if there is any epidemic disease, if there is any change in the environmental condition, the cultivated plants, crops may die off, but the wild relatives always come to help because they have resistant genes. We can harvest from the resistant genes, transfer those things. That is one thing. And secondly, for any improvement program, for breeding program, wild relatives help us a lot. So therefore, conservation of wild relative of crop plants is very important. And in the northeastern region, the dark portion I have shown in the dark eastern, another thing we should understand, most that is the highest rainfall area in the world, but the vegetation is scanty. We can see here, most of the places what you see is the baldy hills where there is no vegetation. Only in small pockets, patches only you will find some dense vegetation. That is the kind of vegetation you find. Highest rainfall area in the world. Now the entire area, the rainfall falls there and goes to the plains of Bangladesh. There is no vegetation to hold the tree flora or vegetation. There is no soil to the entire water goes. It has become a vicious circle. With the result, it looks like very barren. But this is the richest biodiversity area in the country. Richest biodiversity. Density wise, yes, we may not have very rich, but in terms of species richness, this is the very richness. Every alternate plant you get is interesting in the northeastern region. Such a wonderful. But in certain places, as I told, here, some small patches, green patches you see, you can see the road, and also there is a green patch, which we call sacred forests. These are all sacred forests, which are all conserved or protected because of the beliefs attached to these forests. Belief is anything you can think of, any belief, depending upon the tribes. Every tribe has its own belief. If you go and cut one tree or one twig, one snake will come and bite you, or one tiger will. Something belief, but don't bother all this. That belief has made these forests to survive for such a long period. Now it is believed this is the type of forest that once covered the entire northeastern region. Now entire northeastern region was covered this type of forest, but today completely denuded. That's why I said it has become hottest hotspot today. Now uniqueness of this is 1 kilometer you survey in this forest. Only 1 kilometer. In 1 kilometer, you are sure to get species plants, which is much more than, which is much higher than the entire state of Rajasthan. So that is the richness of flora that we have in the northeastern region. Can you imagine what kind of, how much diversity is there? Enormous diversity. Now, the whole Rajasthan, what we get in only 1 kilometer. That is the richness. But unfortunately, today the sacred have become forests have all become death traps. Now, I have just written something. Kanjilal says in 1934 itself. Kanjilal, who wrote the Flora of Assam, he says, 34 we never talked of conservation. That you understand. We never bothered about conservation. 1934. Today we are talking of conservation because the vegetation is denuded. Even in 1934, we talked the existence of these forests is a matter of time, because already the dark foot of so development already has started. Now, in addition to that, what has happened is the beliefs, what is called the beliefs attached to these tribal people is being eroded. Why eroded? Because all the tribal are also studying in Indian Institute of Science or in Pune or in Bombay, big places. So they don't have any faith in the beliefs of their own parents. So what was thought that this is a tiger will come and kill you or a snake will bite you, that belief is no longer valid today. So therefore, existence of these farming growth is a matter of time. Even if there is a maintained for some, if the disease spread, any epidemic disease or an abrupt climatic change, whole flora and fauna die in situ within the forest because there are no ecological corridors. So therefore, I call the sacred forests in the country as death traps. They are no more sacred. I will call them as death traps. So therefore, one should think of how to conserve the sacred forests in the country. Particularly in the northeastern region, we have wonderful sacred forests. Not alone. Now, biologically curious plants, large number of biologically curious plants are also there in our country. You can see all these. One is Nepenthes, extreme right one is Nepenthes cassiana, the left is Belanafora. All these are hothouse plants. This is a Surya, and two species, one Gossipifera and the center one is Oboleta. Anyway, now the utility of these plants, what we know is that yes, wonderful species are there, worth making a photograph and putting in your seminar room. That's all right. But the Nepenthes right one, it contains a kind of a picture. In fact, you can see that picture. The terminal leaf tip is modified into a picture, and that is that contains a digestive juice which can absorb the animal protein directly, and that is very good remedy for peptic ulcers. The Japanese scientists are working again the same thing, whether it is Drosera, Belanopora, all these species have that property. Now, the Japanese scientists are working to develop a product for peptic ulcer, but plant is ours, but we have not been able to do anything. So this is Meghalaya. Khasi is Meghalaya. So we should develop a product, and for that, intensive bioprospection is needed. So that's one thing. Also, the center one only, I will only want to tell one plant. Center one, for example, is the Hedychium flavum. Highly aromatic plant. One twig, you put it in your seminar room, 1 week it will be highly fragrant. Such a wonderful plant. What is it we have done again? Nothing we have done. Why not we exploit this property, utilize this property? Either you transfer the genes to common plants which can be grown all along the sewage, at least nice smell will be there. So that kind of things one should try to think of. The down below, extreme down one is the bamboo forest. Wonderful bamboo species, enormous amount of bamboo forests are there in our country, northeastern region. And what we know is bamboo is making paper. That's all we know. You go to China, more than 2,000 uses of bamboos they do. Now, once simply I was astonished to see a wonderful photograph. This is from bamboo basal portion. They made a nice, which I collected this also, and I paid $5 and took this. Even today, it is there in my house. My point is, if you want to make money from our biological resources, why can't we do this? Train at least 100 people, 200 people. You let them do. It should be available. It's a wonderful piece. Like this, we should utilize our bioresources instead of making only a catalog. Now, this is what, now the diversity in Musa, enormous diversity in Musa. We got also, for example, we are all much familiar in the Western Ghat region. We have wonderful forest here, particularly the Shola forest. Now, what are Shola forests? I will emphasize on this. Shola forests are the forests which come up in between two hillocks. And the properties of the Shola forest is there is a heavy wind action. Because of that, all the trees are crooked. Most of the trees are crooked there. Number one. Second one is there is a perennial source of water. Most of the time there is either rain or perennial rivers are there, perennial streams are there, perennial source of water, and huge growth of epiphytes. These are the typical properties of forest, which I also call, these are all the relic forests. In fact, living fossil community, I will say living fossil community. These are the type of community that we have in our country. And today, even this also is becoming endangered today. Now vegetation, I will skip this slide. I don't want to, this is the Shola forest. Now in the Western Ghat, in the northern part, when you go to the northern part, Maharashtra side, particularly in the Western Ghat, we have beautiful plateaus, hilltop plateaus. On the top of the hill, they are not sharp like other hills, but they are all tabletop plateaus, huge plateaus. So there you find ocean of flowers, beautiful ocean of flowers. Now you see the valley of flowers. I have put it in inverted commas. It is not a valley, but it is a tabletop. It is a of cards. Now, beautiful. Is it not beautiful? Thousands of visitors go, and this is September month particularly. Thousands of visitors go and enjoy this beautiful plateau. You see the ocean of flowers here. I'm just showing this. It is a area. Everywhere it is so rare, but it is abundant there. Area, very beautiful. See the impatience, beautiful impatience, wonderful. Now again, what we are doing now, what should we do? Only we should, beautiful plant, we appreciate that, come back, enjoy, beautiful, take a photograph, put it in your house. No, what we need to do is, again, we should try to bring these things under man-made setting, bring it to botanical gardens. Every house should have these plants, because that is how nurseryman, everybody will be able to benefit from this. So we have to develop agrotechnology, multiply these things, and take it to the man-made settings in everywhere. Then there are also wild varieties of cultivated plants. I think that this. Now I will come to one plant here. It is plant which is in the pot. Now you can see that is Trichopas zelanicus. Is again a wonderful plant. I will only give one example only. Each one has wonderful property that we need to go for bioprospection. Now this plant is a Western Ghat plant. It grows in the Agastyamalai hills. The tribal people, they say that if you eat some 3-4 fruits of this, these 3-4 small fruits, if you eat, it gives you so much of strength and energy that you can carry 50 kg weight on your back and climb the Agastyamalai mountain without eating food for the whole day. Without even eating food, you can carry 50 kg weight on your back and climb the mountain. That much of strength and energy it gives. Simple some 3-4 fruits by eating. Is it not a miraculous plant? I will say this is a miraculous property the plant has. What is it we have done again? Now my question is again, what is that we have done? Are we not supposed to make use of this property, multiply this artificial condition, or in biotechnological means, multiply, go for a product development at a global level? So you develop food. But it should be available in Germany, Japan, America, Australia, everywhere it should be available. You go any country now, you go, whether same Coca-Cola, same Nescafe, same Horlicks, same your Colgate paste, everything will be there, but not from Indian product. Why? Now this is high time that we should go push 1 or 2 global level products so that the economy of the country improves. I think these are all the plants that we should try to select some of these things, right? Again, there are large number of wild aromatic plants. These are all aromatic plants. Now, we are all in the cultivated sector. We are all playing only tall plants, which are all supposed to be the cultivated wild on cultivated aromatic plants, and that essential oils we extract from that. And essential oils are basically extremely costly, and some oils even 4 lakh per liter. So it's costly. Now, in the wild condition, we have 350 species of wild aromatic plants growing uncared for in the forest. You crush the leaf of one, smell it. You crush the leaf of another one, completely different smell. All they contain essential oils. Wonderful aromatic plant. Now, depending upon the industry need, suppose you merge this smell with this smell with this. What I mean to say is, mere merge means you hybridize this plant with that, or hybridize with that one with this, depending upon what you require, what kind of smell you require. Suppose you go for either molecular develop a crop which is acceptable to the aromatic industry. That is the greatest contribution you can do. And again, the economy of the country improves like anything. I think this is the kind of work supposed to. I think these are all some of the slides I will skip because you are all very familiar with all these kind of things. Now, there are also plants, Keraluma, for example, in the dry area. In all this, in Tamil Nadu, particularly Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, in the dry areas, you find this Keraluma, highly important medicinal plant. Large number of products are being done and also sold in the American region, but in India, we have still to progress. This is Keraluma, is a very good medicinal plant. Now, in the Rajasthan, we have a typical variety of plants, and in the so-called coastal area, the dark area shown in the coastal area. In the coastal area, we have mangroves, wonderful mangroves. Now, the properties of mangroves, you all know, economic activity, the way. But all these mangroves stand as it is. So that means they are much stronger than human-made steel bridges because of the what you call the stilt roots. Now identify such species and grow all along the tsunami-prone areas. At least save your people. That is the economic, improvement. That kind of things one should take up. I think this is a good example I am telling. Now this plant, for example, from Andaman, uh, uh, right hand down below. It is Ammomum fangulii. You crush the plant. The tribal people, what they do, crush the plant, apply to the whole body, go and touch the beehives. Any the poisonous stings, any poisonous insects, nothing can sting because of this again, we should go prepare some kind of cream or something so that at least global level product I'm talking, not at the local level, global level product which should change the economy of the country. Suppose you do this, I think that's wonderful. For that, again, bioprospection we need, right? Now, some of this data is useful for students, which I skip all these things. So now, having gone through, I think my time is also getting quickly. I will come now. We know now we have certainly, depending upon the area of the country, different types of vegetation is there. Now we are all fully convinced that wonderful botanical wealth is there. The biological wealth is so enormous, and there are many. How do we know? Ethnic knowledge, ethnic leads are there. We know knowledge. So therefore, enormous amount of information is also there. Bioresources are also there. Now, making use of the ethnic knowledge and the bioresources, we should go for product development. I said how it is possible. It is by way of bioprospection. Now, what is bioprospection? Scanning the entire biodiversity for identifying better molecule, better genes, better medicinal plants for product development. That is bioprospection that we have to do. I will give an example. For example, today, the biotechnologies, I think you all know, you must be teaching to your students also as teachers. Today it's possible to shift the genes from one plant to other, whether it is closely related or not. It is immaterial. You can shift the genes. Shifting gene means you are shifting one character from one plant to other. That possibility is there. And also, I have written at the end, you can have species today made to order. You can go to a biotechnologist and order, just like we go for a tailor and order that you should make my suit like this, pocket should be like this, or whatever you say. Same way, you should go for the biotechnologist and say that you tell there is a tomato plant, take the gene from made. There is a biosweetener called what is called stevia. Stevia, you all know, is a biosweetener which is almost 200 times sweeter than sugar. Now it is anti-diabetic. Identify the genes of stevia, take those genes and transfer it to coffee or tea plant so that we can have nice coffee and tea without even adding sugar. Now, is it possible? It may look like a fiction today, but after 50 years, 100 years, who knows? One day it may become a reality. Unless you sharpen your brain, unless you think any plant property you got, immediately you should think, how can I utilize this property? That should come in your mind. That is my message I want to give you. It is not simply seeing like this. Now, bioprospection is also what I have written in red: conversion of traditional knowledge into a commercialized product, making use of modern science and technology is bioprospecting or biological diversity prospecting. I think that is today we have traditional knowledge in our country, enormous traditional knowledge. 550 ethnic tribes are there, enormous knowledge is there, enormous biodiversity on the other side. Both sides we have ready-made material for us. Only thing is we should now develop product. What is the problem? I don't understand. I think we should now go for product development. And ethnic knowledge is so important that almost 70% of the traditional knowledge, herbs, whatever the medicines that we get in the market today in the world, 74% comes from the traditional knowledge only. You can imagine, this is used for diabetes, they develop a product and that is supposed to be 100% success. Whereas systematically surveying, systematically investigating from A to Z has proved unsatisfactory. In fact, it is not satisfactory. So therefore, taking the ethnic knowledge and developing a product is always good, and that helps. I think this is what is going on today. We have large number of opportunities for us. I have written what are the prospects that we have for developing the products I have shown here. Anything you want, whether it is a wild edible plant, medicinal plant, whether it is wild aromatic plant, whether it is a plant for bioremediation, anything you want, from, as I said, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, you go, all habitats you see, whether cold desert, whether you see cold deserts, for example, plants that grow, which are all immersed. In fact, 7 months in a year, they are, I told, covered by snow. Now, what makes the plant to survive? Are they having some special cold resistant genes? If the case, take those genes and transfer those genes into some common plants which can be grown, aloo, potato, maize. Some of these things can be grown in the cold desert areas. But that exercise has to be done by biotechnologists of the day today. So these, the potential is so great. The area is so wonderful. But unfortunately, we have a huge playground, but no players at all. That is the thing. Now, these are all the plants in the cold desert region. I am just given only a few plants which can be used for developing resistant genes for agriculture sector. Now, I will stop my lecture with this last slide. Sorry. Although I have many more slides, but let me complete. This is a chili plant. Now, you are all familiar with chili because daily we eat chili and making sambar. But this chili is from Assam and Manipur, that border, and it's the most pungent chili that we have in our country. Very strong chili. Suppose you crush this and touch this plant and wash your hand 20 times with soap, even then your hands are burning. Such a wonderful chili. Local people, what they do, they tie a thread to one of the chili, immerse that in the dal or sambar, whatever it is, for a second or 2 seconds, depending upon how pungent they want, and take out the chili and use the same chili tomorrow, next day. So one chili is sufficient for the whole 10 days, 20 days, or even 1 month, one chili. Now you should feel very happy. Instead of buying 2 kg chili every month, one chili is sufficient. Let us grow this and make use of this chili. If you are all satisfied with eating sambar, yes, I think that you can do. But the DRDO people have identified this property again, the property of the high pungence identified, and they have developed hand grenades. And by throwing these hand grenades, if the terrorists are hiding even 20-meter deep burrows, they cannot sustain there. Even 20 meters deep, I am telling. So all the terrorists caught in the Srinagar Valley during the last 6 to 8 months, 6 to 8 years, all the terrorists are called, this is one of this, so which is used in the biological warfare. This is how biological diversity should be utilized. I think this is the point I just wanted to emphasize. There are a large number of other slides I do not want to go, but my conclusion is that India is a very rich, diverse country. Enormous biodiversity is there in North. There is no doubt in it. And ethnic knowledge is also there. What for it is used, how it is used, that kind of knowledge is also there. But only thing is, what we have not been able to do is that we have not been able to convert that into a global level product, or converting the biological wealth into monetary wealth. That we have not done. So far, we are all busy in discussing, describing that, writing a floral diagram, that kind of things we have been doing. But rather, we should rethink. We have to that is what you said in your seminar theme, New Horizons. Now, this is one of the new horizons that I think we should try to convert our biological wealth into economic wealth so that India can become prosperous. As I said in the beginning, richer the biodiversity, stronger the country it is in the coming decades. China has gone far ahead of India. In fact, China almost 150 to 200 products they have already pushed. But whereas in India, although we are richer in biodiversity, knowledge-wise we are richer, the ethnic knowledge is there. As I said, playground is so vast for us, but there are no players, there are no people who can make. So therefore, now this is high time that we should go for product development. I think I will stop at this because one more, because there is so much of thing to talk to me, but in some other time I will talk. I thank at this and thank Dr. Tangraj and Bhugraj for giving me this opportunity. And any of you are interested, you can always ask for these slides. You can take use of these slides. Yes. And the last conclusion, I think perhaps you can read yourself, that converting the biological wealth, that is the red one. The message, take home lesson for all of you is this: converting the biological wealth into monetary wealth, identifying the right bioresource for bioprospecting. That's another thing. See, not any plant there. This is used for diabetes in Tamil Nadu. You take that plant. No, there may be another plant in Rajasthan which may be better than Tamil Nadu plant. So that shortlisting or prioritization of the species has to be done. That's why I said identifying the right global bioresource for bioprospecting is very important. Is another important message that I want to give. And interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary studies are must, because no one can do all this unless you collaborate with a molecular biologist, biotechnologist, ecologist, taxonomist, ethnobotanist. All these fellows should join together and put 10 years, 20 years immaterial, only work on one plant, and at the end of the day, bring one product that will change the economy of the country. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your excellent and doing session.
Yeah.
So this is a time for participants. So those who are in Google Meet, so you can ask any question or clarification, especially Dr. Raja. Dr. Raja from JJ College. Welcome. Welcome you to ask a question. Yes. So before that, our participants, they have posted some question in the chat box.
Okay.
Shall I read the question, sir?
Yeah, you can read the question, and I don't know if they all write to me by email. I will try to answer because already it is 3:30 now, and
Okay.
one more talk is
only few questions, sir. Few questions, sir.
Okay, ask.
Yeah. So as the Sanjeevani plant, the modern Sanjeevani plant has immunity. It is acting as an immune booster since told in the presentation.
Okay.
So this is a question from Dr. Pushpu. Pushpu Chandra. She is asking whether the Sanjeevani plant, the modern Sanjeevani plant, has the power to cure coronavirus.
Antiviral properties. No,
yeah.
See, not the one which I showed, rhodiola wallaceiana I showed, that is not having the antiviral property, but it has got adaptogenic, and also it is a, I told about the nullifying effect of gamma radiation, but not, but there are other species. I showed a big list of plants. In that there are a few species which are having the antiviral properties. That is one of those things that needs to be investigated. As I said, these are all ethnic knowledge. We have taken the ethnic knowledge, We have collected the plants and we have tried. Now it is for the biotechnologists to go further, so that immediately we cannot take that plant and make a medicine. It takes intensive research. One has to do. Yes, there are antiviral plants also in the Himalayas. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Few
Next.
questions. Any other question from a participant side? Those who are in Google Meet.
Also, you
Yes.
can tell them that they can always write to my email also, and maybe if there are many other teachers from different colleges, they should conduct a workshop, not a virtual workshop like this, because I do not subscribe to this kind of virtual workshops. You can organize when the corona situation improves. We'll all come and deliver as problem. Yeah.
After Corona pandemic, sir.
After the corona pandemic, of course, now also we will not come. That is a different thing. But what I mean is, yes, the day will change. I think we should
Okay.
organize. I'm not happy. I'm using a mobile here, which I will not be able to see much myself clearly, because my laptop is creating problem. But somehow I am trying to, because I will not say no to your lecture, so I have tried to join. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So people enjoyed your lectures, sir. We hope
Thank you.
all our participants enjoyed your lectures. So with this,
Thank you.
we break this session for tea.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank
3:30.
you.
By
3:30. Okay.
3:30 we will assemble here. Yes, sir. Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, okay. So, Tangraj, can you see my slide now? Uh, Can you see my slide now?
Not yet, sir. Not yet. Not yet. You present your slide, sir.
I'm just doing that. Now? Can you see now?
No, sir. No.
Okay, wait. Now it is not seen, huh? Hello?
Are you presenting your slide, sir?
Can you see now slides? My
No. No.
no.
We are not seeing your slides.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Sharing screen. Start sharing.
Yes. It is coming. Yeah.
Coming,
Now
huh?
the slides are visible. Yeah, visible.
Okay,
Visible.
okay.
We are seeing your
Okay,
slides.
okay. Sure. Whenever you say, we'll start.
Yeah.
Whenever you say, we will start, Tangraj.
Yeah. So another 2 minutes, sir. We will start. Another 2 minutes.
Okay. Whenever you say.
Yes, sir. We can start, sir.
Okay, yes. Okay, all of them have joined.
Yeah, already they are in a link only. They are in mute,
Okay,
sir. Yeah.
so if you say, I will start then.
Yes, you can start now, sir.
Okay, thank you. Friends, now this is my second talk, and before I start this, my again I will please note my email ID. If any doubts or anything you want to clarify, I think you should write back to the resource persons. Number one. Second one is also your import the academy. Whatever you write, of course, you may give your feedback, all that. But if you write to the academy, also academy will feel also very happy to receive either so it was so good, it was so bad, or whatever you write. Academy will improve, so that for improvement of this workshop or anything, we need your feedback. So write clearly to the academy also, or even send it to the resource persons also. I think this you should do. Any question, doubts, you should. The purpose is that, yes, you should try to understand, make use of the knowledge that is generated here, so that you should teach it to your students later on. That is number one. The second point is, I have purposely have selected this plant taxonomy, changing scenario, current status, future prospects. All this I have written today because today is a big problem in the universities. Taxonomy means it is as if it is an unwanted subject. People do not want to take up this subject. But without taxonomy, we cannot do anything. That I want to talk on this. And what are the main problems now in popularizing the subject? Why we are a failure in popularizing this kind of things, I will say. Again, I have given my address and email ID. Those of you are wanted, please note down these things. Now I'll start with this. Now, what is actually the plant taxonomy? Now, as teachers and students of plant taxonomy, everybody, it's a classification. It deals with identification, naming, identification, and classification. Now, that everything is okay, but my emphasis is actually, which I have written in the red. It deals with the study of variation pattern in plants and provides a system of classification. Study of variation pattern, that's very important. Now, how one elephant morphologically is different from camel, so that is the morphological that variation pattern. Now, if there is one plant to other, one species to other, the variation pattern, because of this character, this is Euphorbia hirta. Because of this character, this is Euphorbia microcolor. So whatever it we write is based on the variation pattern. That you should keep it in mind. Why I am emphasizing is, today we are deviating from this very central dictum of plant taxonomy. That means variation pattern is neglected. Variation pattern is neglected. Some of the modern biologists, I'm very strong criticizer also. I'm a strong criticizer of also called the modern biologists. So they say morphological variation is neither necessary nor sufficient for species or speciation. Now, where is the definition of study of variation pattern in plant? If there is no variation, they say morphological variation is neither necessary nor sufficient. So I will discuss on these things. So therefore, please keep it in your mind. The central theme of plant taxonomy is study of variation pattern in plants for providing a system of classification. I think that you should take. Now, without taxonomy, nobody would be, with the importance of taxonomy. Please understand all these things. Without taxonomy, nobody would be sure of the identity of organisms they are working. You may say tomorrow, I am working on Euphorbia hirta, I am working on Cotula lancifolia, whatever the plant, maybe cytology, embryology, or molecular aspects, anything you do, you work with a named biological entity which comes from taxonomies. So without taxonomy, nobody would be sure of this. So therefore, basically, taxonomy is required. Without taxonomy, one cannot understand biodiversity. Today we are talking of biodiversity throughout the globe, global biodiversity. India is rich in biodiversity. We have been talking in terms of number. How do we do that? Collect the plant, identify the plant, study the variation pattern and say this is different from this and make a list of inventory. So that is taxonomy. Without taxonomy, biodiversity assessment is impossible. So biodiversity is so much. Everybody today wants biodiversity. Biodiversity people are talking. But the basic theme of taxonomy is not required. where it is justified. This is exactly I want to argue. Right now, taxonomy is essential in theoretical, yes. Without taxonomy, there would be no meaningful genomes and projects and all that. Now, what is the objective of taxonomy? Determining what a species is. Now, that is one objective. Distinguishing these species from others through keys and description. The botanical keys we give and distinguish A to B, B to C, how we distinguish. And and also investigating their interrelationship, the biosystematics. Biosystematics is something different. I will talk again later. Investigating their interrelationship, phylogenetically, which is primitive, which is advanced, from which plant, which group has come, that kind of things we do. Determine proper names of species using ICN, International Code of Nomenclature. That is also our job. Determining proper names of species. Now, please understand, innumerable cases of mistakes are there in the literature that we see. You take 100 literature, at least usme 50% of the plant names are wrong. But science is universal. What you are communicating, it should be universally communicated. You are communicating a wonderful information or a valuable information under a wrong name. Now nobody knows this. So therefore, the determine proper names using International Code of Nomenclature is again our job, and taxonomy plays an important role in this, that you should understand. Process of evolution. So objectives of all this I have already said. I said classification. What is classification? Classification is arrangement of groups of plants with particular circumstances. Yes, all these characters, all camels in one place, all birds in one place, all snakes in one place, putting different classes of organisms into one their pyjamas. This is the same is the case in the plants. I'm just giving the animal example so that it is easy to remember. The similar character, similar morphology is put in one place. That is classification. Now, this classification today, different kinds, natural, yes, all natural classification. It could be artificial, like herbs, shrubs, trees, artificial classification, all herbs in one place, all trees in one place. That kind of evolution, it has taken place later on. And today, what we feel is it should be phylogenetic classification, which is the most primitive, from which advanced groups have evolved. That is the phylogenetic classification. All that comes from, again, a taxonomy, right? What is identification? Identification is nothing but recognizing an unknown plant to be similar in morphology to a known plant and accordingly giving a name. I think that is identification. Simple. What identification? Recognizing an unknown plant in the field to be similar. This plant is similar to this. This is like this, only similar to this, and take that morphology, compare it, and say, yeah, this is exactly the same Xyris passiflora. Whatever the name you give that, this is exactly when you match it. That is identification. In doing so, suppose you are not able to identify, there is no known species matching with this, then we think it is a new species and we give a name, and that giving name is naming. That is called the process of naming. That naming, how do we give? It is keeping in conformity with the rules of nomenclature. There is a set of rules of nomenclature, we give a name. And the entire rules of nomenclature is governed by these two things. One name must be rightly applied to one taxon. One name should be given to only one species. Understand? One name should be given to only one species. Also, one species should have only one name. Both are there. One name you cannot give it to two species. Similarly, a single species should not have two names. Why? Because science is universal. You cannot have a plant you will call the Tamarindus indica, I call, the other fellow will call the same plant Tamarindus africana, he will call in Africa. No. Science is universal. Anything you communicate with reference to a particular species is universal. So therefore, you cannot have two names. If you agree to this, there should be only one name only. And in doing so, as I told in the past slide, one species must have only one name must be given to only one. Suppose two names are there, what will you do? For a species, there are 2, 3, 4, there are 20 names are also there for certain species. What will you do? Whether you like it or not, we have to remove 19 names out of 20, one name only we have to retain. In doing so, your name may be most popular name. You are all familiar. I remove that name because as per the international code of nature, there is a set of rules. I have to remove, whether you like it or not, you cut off all those names and take one name, which may be popular, which may be unpopular, but that has to be taken. So this is because science is universal. So therefore, we do the whole organization, the one species is has one name and one name is given to one species. Keeping this in mind, we do the entire exercise. Taxonomy is not, so we are doing a very pious job in stabilizing the plant nomenclature. For example, we are doing so much of work and stabilizing the plant names is we are bringing universality to the names. There are many examples I will talk later on, which you think this is such and such a plant, you are working and publishing hundreds of papers, but that plant is a wrong name. What will you do? All your entire information is waste. So therefore, this taxonomy has to play an important role in the entire modern biology also. Now, sometimes people say plant name changes are irritating because you have been working on a particular plant. Your teachers are also have taught you. You are also teaching it to your students. You are publishing so many PhDs and papers are also you are publishing. And suddenly, one fine morning, I will say, I will give an example, just only an example. I say there is Cucurbita leucantha. There is a plant. Now I say no, the plant in all floras, where I have written all floras, you please see. All floras means it is familiar in the entire country. All people are familiar. Lagineria vulgaris is a name. Now I changed that plant and given Lagineria leucantha. Whether you may like, whether you may not like it, keeping in conformity. I don't want to talk on the nomenclature because that itself is a class, separate class. Understand, we are doing this to bring the stability to the plant names so that it should be universal. So which is the earliest name we are trying to bring. So that is why. Next one, for example, you can see all floras, Coccinia indica. I have given a name. All floras, whether it is flora of Assam, Kanchilal, Gamble, Datti, Hain, all fellows are using this name. And suddenly I say today, no, that is not the plant. Yours is C. cardifolia. Many of the people who are all familiar with this name, Coccinia indica, who have been working for several decades, they get irritated. And this was written all these years, there was no problem. Now we have got a problem. So many years there was no problem. Now we have got a problem. This kind of arguments they give. Now, am I justified? Am I not justified? That you should tell. Because science is universal. There should be only one name for one species. Two species, two names cannot be one species. So under that rules only, we change this. So therefore, we are doing a sacred or a pious job in stabilizing the plant nomenclature in the biological research. I think that contribution you should remember. Taxonomy is relevant today. It is not simply classroom teaching, identifying a plant, as you say, naming, identification, naming, and classification. That is the definition given by most of the teachers. Identification, naming, and classification is taxonomy. No, taxonomy is relevant in all spheres of today. I have just listed whether it is in the flora writing, whether it is biosystematics, whether it is on the biodiversity assessment, whether it is on biomonitoring of the fragile ecosystem, and also in forensic science, whether it is forensic science also, and also in identification of plant material in solving crimes, that also will come here, and also in the international uh, uh, ports where, for example, certain material are banned. So certain plant material and plant species are banned from export under CITES condition. So in such cases, taxonomy plays a role even there also. Everywhere taxonomy. And also in the study of climate change, I will tell you how all this, how we can do that. I will tell in the study of climate change also. And also in ethnobotany. Ethnobotany, also taxonomy plays a major role. Without all these things, only as we think today, even today, taxonomy is identification, naming, classification. In your teachers will come, this is papillinaceae, these are the characters, you will write down the characters, and if there are 20 families, you will study 20 families. If there are 30 families, you will study 30 families. This is the kind of teaching we are doing, but we are not widening the scope of research. All these areas are to be taught. How taxonomy plays a major role. The entire syllabus needs to be modified in the university systems today. Now, how this taxonomy started? It started as a folk taxonomy. That is the main problem. Why people criticize taxonomy today is this. They are all considered to be conservatives. What was done some 200 years ago, we do the same thing now. But what was done 200 years ago, if that system is correct, why should we not do that? That is my argument. My argument is this: yes, 200 years ago, the method they adopted, I would adopt even today because that method it has stood the test of time for me. So that is the argument. Now it started as a whole taxonomy. That is identifying one plant from the other. So then later on, gradually, in the middle, I think you read yourself. I don't want to argue so much. In the middle of 16th century, the taxonomic history is so vast. I tell you, no other subject has accumulated so much of literature as taxonomy. I tell you. Now, in the middle of 16th century, actually the taxonomy started real work in the middle of 16th century when the herbarium concept was developed. Now, what is this herbarium concept? Earlier, all biology, see, earlier subject, there was no molecular biology or anatomy or cytology. Only botany was collecting plants, identifying and naming of those plants. The entire botany was nothing but taxonomy in earlier days. At that time, the greatest problem for biologists was how to collect these plants and put it in one place. They used to go to the forest, they used to go to the botanical gardens, identify plants, sit there down below the tree, write the description, everything. But today, we don't do that. All the plants we collect, bring it in the herbarium, put it on our table here, and describe everything we do. That concept was not there earlier. So, middle of 16th century, herbarium concept developed. I think that's again another big story. I will only leave at this. Herbarium concept developed. The moment herbarium concept developed, oh, it is so easy. People, everybody started collecting plants, bringing and then putting in their herbarium and writing description, whatever they wanted to do. All medicinal plants, herbarium they wanted to develop, that kind of thing they started. And the only biological science was botany at that time. All places throughout the world, people started collecting plants. Number one. Next stage was the organized system of nomenclature. Now we have struggled a lot. So in the organized system of nomenclature, earlier people used to write, give the name based on the description of the plant. Description of the plant. What is the description of the plant? I saw a white flowered plant, white flowered tree, a tree with long pendulous leaves, a long pendulous fruits with the yellow flowers, the entire description of the plant. That was very cumbersome, difficult to remember. For example, in the Latin, if I have to tell a name, the Saida acuta, a plant, simple plant, Saida acuta, it's all very common plant, Saida acuta. Earlier days, what it was called was Althea, Coromandelina, Anguistes, Prolongis, Foliae, Bicornea, Bipluncate. I think that was the name of one plant because there was no organized binomial system of nomenclature was not there. Now it is during this time, middle of again the 1753, Linnaeus gave us the binomial system of nomenclature. I hope you how taxonomy developed. Now, one side, collection of plants became easy, herbarium concept developed. The other side, naming is simply very easy. So all people started collect a plant, give a name, and put it. Collect a plant, give a name, and put it. Right? This is the thing to do. Throughout the world, people started collecting and giving the names. In the absence of any international rules, what happened? Same plant was given 30 names, 20 names, 30, 50 names, like that, depending upon where they are working. So without knowing, there were no international rules. So this necessitated the establishment of international set of rules. That is what I call international code of nomenclature. So gradually, with the code of nomenclature, they started stabilizing the plant names. And in the with the result, lot of accumulated, the plants collected, and they started arranging into according to some classification system. Initially, all trees in one place, all shrubs in one place, herbs in one place. That is what we call natural artificial system of classification. And later on, Bentham and Hooker and others, followed by others, they started the natural system of classification, and followed by Engler and Frankel onwards, subsequent to even up to APG, Hutchinson, Taklajan, Cronquist, all these fellows. Now today we talk of phylogenetic. So classification became one of the needs of taxonomies because large number of plants. So we have to arrange them according to some system, otherwise it becomes an inorganized system. So this is on one side. That was what was done some 200, 300 years ago. Even that system is being followed today. The same herbarium concept I follow, the same classification method I follow. So therefore, taxonomies are treated as conservatives, having nothing new. Whereas molecular biology, every alternate day, the technology changes. Oh, this is a new technology, gene editing. Now we are all talking. So depending upon the situation, subjects are changing. Whereas taxonomy is a very conservative discipline, but it doesn't mean that it is not important. I will argue on that. Even today, I will argue with all molecular biologists. Taxonomy is most important, fascinating. That I will argue. Right? On one side, what happened? We were thinking the species concept. When you talk of species, yes, it is a God-made entity. The species are all stereotyped without any changes in the population. We thought initially they are all one unit. Sida acuta is one Sida acuta. Throughout the world, it is Sida one acuta. We were not thinking what is called the variation pattern in plants at that time. So, with the publication of Origin of Species by Darwin, the concept of variation pattern was introduced. A species can vary from place to place. That concept came into taxonomy, then started a kind of revolution in plant taxonomy. And Dobzhansky, he gave the biological species concept. I don't want to define again biological because my time is also very biological species concept. Now we are all very familiar. People talk of biological species concept where in terms of reproductive isolation or genetic isolation. If the reproductive isolation is there, yes, it is a different species. Genetic isolation is there, it is a different species. Morphologically, what we think are all are same. Many of the population may not hybridize. So within the same different population may not hybridize. So such things now are criticized. What modern biologists say is morphological variation is either necessary, not sufficient. That is the argument they are giving. So it happened. Now, these evolutionary ideas gave rise to many of the so-called the modern systems of classification. Now, all these years, last 300 years, we used to have external morphology for classificatory purpose. Yes, it has four legs, two eyes. That is the kind of morphology we used to study and classify. And this method is conservative method and an orthodox approach, and this is called orthodox taxonomy. So we are all, I believe in orthodox taxonomy. Why? Because I will argue. This is orthodox taxonomy. Whereas the other group of biologists say they, no, in addition to that, you should study cytology, you should study ecology, its habitat variation, you should study molecular biology, gene variation, all this kind of study you should study, which they say is omega taxonomy. So one is orthodox taxonomy, omega taxonomy, or the neo-Linnaean taxonomy. I call it neo-Linnaean taxonomy. And these two things came, and there is a big conflict among the taxonomies because some people believe in that, some people believe in this. With the result, instead of showing any progress, instead of being complementary to each other, we are contradicting the other. So therefore, taxonomy is being criticized. Now, I think what are the differences between taxonomy, systematics? I have just defined that one. I think I will leave that at this. I will not go. Experimental, what is experimental taxonomy? What is biosystematic? All are contradictory. But understand this, I want all of you to read. In 1905, Hallier, a typical orthodox taxonomy. He's an orthodox taxonomy, having no idea of molecular biology or anything. He says, even in 1905, systematic botany should be founded on much broader and more universal base than at present at that time, comprehending not only the morphology of reproductive organs, that is flowers, but also all other branches of botany such as comparative morphology, vegetative organs, comparative anatomy, ontogeny, embryology, phytochemistry, physiology. So what is left today? I want to question modern biologists are talking what the so-called 1905, when all these people never talked of all the modern areas, our classical botany is new. Yes, we should do all this. It is always good that we should do. That knowledge was there with us. Orthodox taxonomies also has this idea because they are holistic in approach. They study the plant in its entirety. not only a portion. So there, this idea was there by Hallier, which I always appreciate. But at the same time, no, I only stick to my orthodox views. I don't want to see any of the modern. We cannot say. Today, we should also, whether you follow herbarium concept, herbarium method, you may be an herbarium classifier, but you should also have the, the modern knowledge at the back so that it will help you in deciding whether a species is a new species, whether a species is a new variety. That helps you. So it will give you better understanding of the process of evolutionary biology. So therefore, we should have all the modern knowledge also in our basic taxonomy. So, in my words, new systematics has brought about a qualitative improvement. It has brought a renaissance, in fact, new taxonomy in better understanding of the kinds of evolutionary biology. I think that we should try to accept. Now, keeping all this problem, now I will current what is the status today. So today the status is it has become a synthetic discipline. What is a synthetic discipline? Today it should be cytology emerged. In fact, any subject emerged, first attacked on taxonomy. Cytology emerged, attacked on taxonomy. Embryology emerged, attacked on taxonomy. They said cytology immediately you should take psychological characters also in your morphological classification. Like this, all the new subjects evolved, they attacked on taxonomy. It's one subject which has been attacked by everybody. So today it has become a synthetic discipline. Today they say modern taxonomy should be chemo, cyto, histo, morpho, molecular taxonometrician. I have written a long one. You can read this. Chemo, cyto, histo. That means you should know everything, and you should become a taxonomy. Now, is it ever possible that a person should do everything and then identify? Time at our disposal is very short. The flora is disappearing, and moreover, collaborative programs, collaborative science is also not successful. So therefore, this is today's current trend is a synthetic discipline. Then next, then each one contradict the findings of the classical taxonomy. Each one it is not complementary, but it's contradicting. But my plus point 300 years ago, what I have done 300 years ago, I stick to a corner and take a dead herbarium plant, dead herbarium specimen, and a dry 10x lens and identify. All my predecessors did. Linnaeus, Hooker, Engler, Prandtl, all these fellows, enormous contributions they have made. So they what they did, taking a dead herbarium specimen. That's why I have written dead plants with a dry lens. What we did, no electron microscope we studied, but dead plant with a dry lens we identified just only orthodox ways. We just identified the plant and described thousands and thousands of species. Please understand the plus point for me. Thousands and thousands of species. Out of those, how many of them are proved wrong today? My question is, how many of them are wrong today? 99% of my identification with 10x lens is accurate today. With all your modern knowledge you apply, 99% I am right. So therefore, my argument is, although we follow 300 years old method, it doesn't mean that we are doing wrong. So that is the one. That plus point is, although we are using dead plants with their dry lines, 99% of my findings are proved satisfactory. You say that molecular taxonomy, you do and say that this is wrong what you have done. Yes, we will accept. But unfortunately, there are no such cases still coming to my knowledge. And then, but at the same time, you cannot, as I said, take home lesson should be that we should be aware of the modern trends and techniques in what is going on. Most of the universities today have failed to enthuse students in taxonomy. I don't think any university in the country, I have traveled almost all the universities everywhere. I don't think any university is trying to except one or two universities, Kolhapur University, my friend Yadav is there, okay, fine, he's doing, and Sabu is there in Calicut, they are all doing. But by and large, 99% of the universities, in fact, they have utterly failed to enthuse students. Why they have failed, utterly failed? Because of this, that they do not know how to teach taxonomy. This is, I think, if there are teachers, all of you should accept this, because even today I tell you, our teachers do not know how to teach taxonomy. What is taxonomy? How to teach taxonomy? They do not know. Simply what they do, they take a book, take the characters of Papillon and say, go on telling herbs, shrubs, or trees, and stamens definite or indefinite, and hairy or glabrous. Anything you can, one character will be right. And without even knowing which are the plants, and then at the end of that they write a floral diagram. This is the floral diagram because it is already given in a book. Write the floral diagram and ask the students to mug up the characters and write the floral diagram without knowing the significance of the floral diagram or anything, either by the teacher or by the students. This is a faulty method of teaching. Go on telling the character. Root say yes, obdiplosteminous condition is there. Because all this, everybody will write obdiplosteminous condition. Students also write that. Teachers also will say, what is obdiplostemony? Neither the teacher knows nor the student knows. This is the thing that is happening faulty ways. So, what is the correct way method? I will tell you later on. I will tell you. And taxonomy is responsible for all-round development of biology. We are all responsible for all-round development of biology, but today we are all neglected. Hey, there is nothing. 300 years old. There is no news. So this is the one. They are neglected group of lot today. So this is the trend, which I don't accept. That's a different thing. Policymakers and fund giving bodies show apathy for giving funds. You want to do some molecular biology? Yeah, wonderful. You will get crores of rupees. But for taxonomy, even 10 lakh to get from the funding agencies has become extremely difficult because they think there is nothing new what you are doing. But what I am doing, I know. I'm going to convince all those things now. Number one is there is a severe crisis. The subject is vanishing. I think that you should. No taxonomists in the country, no teachers. How many taxonomy trained teachers are teaching in this? You make a survey. Either molecular biologists, physiologists, or ecologists, anatomists, everybody teaches taxonomy. Is there any university where a plant taxonomist is teaching molecular biology? No. Why? Because, hey, taxonomy, anybody can teach taxonomy. Taxonomy cannot teach any subject. That means already you have underestimated the importance of the subject. That is why the kind of students, the kind of teaching makes an impact on what is taxonomy. People, that's why there is very difficult to remember all the plants, they run away. Rather, if you make the subject interesting, it is in your hand as a teacher, it is in your hand. You make the subject interesting and call all the students. Yes, today I want to do convolvulaceae. Sit them, ask them to then collect all people, convolvulaceae plant, one flower you collect, let them all collect there in the field. Ask one by one as a teacher, yes, what type of, is it a sympatlus or polypetalous? And is it a definite stamens or indefinite stamens? Is it equal stamens or unequal stamens? How are the petals at the back? Whether it is, how is the stigma? All these convoluted character, you ask them, the student should tell the answer. Yes, yes, sir, this is sympatalus, and there is a triangular marking, irregular stamens, and dumbbell-shaped stigma. All these characters, when the students tell, as a teacher, you should summarize this at the end, saying that if any plant has this character, you should be convolvulaceae and nothing else. That is how we should conclude. Next, you go to some other place and ask them to collect one more convolvulaceae. Let them do the same exercise. Third plant, when you show them, you need not say anything. The students will in some immediately say, sir, this is convolvulaceae. You ask why? They will tell all those characters. Without seeing even the book, you can teach taxonomy to the students and make it interesting. That is how you have to attract the student. But unfortunately, trained teachers are not there in the country. With the result, the taxonomy is dying. Already it is a kind of apathy. And this kind of teachers, further they kill the subject. Yes, faulty method of teaching, I told, and unsuccessful collaboration. That's another thing. Unsuccessful collaborative efforts in programs. But see, bioprospection, if it has to be done without taxonomy, bioprospection will not go. Morning, I showed about a lot of slides, which are the species that you should select. Go for bioprospection. I know because I know which are the species which has got wonderful miraculous properties and where it occurs. What is its name? All that I know, but I do not know what to do with that. Biotechnologists know what to do, but unfortunately, they do not know what are the plant, where is that plant, how it looks, nothing they know. So there should be a collaborative effort for successful collaborative bioprospection. Unfortunately, in the country, there is absolute no collaboration. Why collaboration is not there? Because they think at the end of the day, when you give a giant program and ask them to give a report at the end, taxonomy will give his report, molecular biologist will publish his own paper, and you ask why there is no giant program. This is a giant program. program, why there is not a single joint paper? His answer is simply this: sir, he has not done anything. He has only told me the name of the plant. He has not done anything, only name of the plant. So this is the thing. So telling the name of a plant, even if I have to tell the name of a plant, I have 40 years of experience so that I can tell. So they think, telling the name, there is nothing. And please understand, suppose a biotechnologist come to me and I tell him, no, all right, you sit, sir, I will identify your plant and take a microscope, go on dissecting and then looking into big floras you bring and do all kinds of showy exercises you do and tell, sir, very difficult, you come tomorrow, I will identify once again. Let him come on say tomorrow also. Tomorrow you do the same thing, put the plant inverted or whatever it is you do in the microscope, go on making a show. You call him third day, sir, I have great difficulty. I have identified your plant. It is Parthenium stereoporus. You identify this plant. Then that biotechnologist will think, hey, taxonomy is difficult. To identify this, he has taken 3 days, 3-4 days to identify. That is how. So what we do today is the shortcut method. The moment he comes on, this is Parthenium. That's all, sir. What you have done. For this, I will not give you authorship. So this is unsuccessful collaborative effort. Please understand that in order to tell the name of a plant, it requires either 40 to 50 years of experience or knowledge, and that is more important. And without that name, you cannot go for bioprospection. If I suppose I don't give, no, I will not give. Can you do? You cannot do. This is the problem. So there is absolutely no collaboration. Modern biologists are sidetracking them. No, most of the taxonomic journals are no impact. Taxonomy journal, there is no impact factor. Now you apply for any award or anything, and your biodata is compared with the biodata of a molecular biologist today. Molecular biologists or a biotechnologist paper, they are all impact factor journal of 13, 14, 10, like that, high impact journals. But in taxonomy, there are no impact factor journals. But it doesn't mean his work is not important. It is not having any impact. Definitely it is having impact, but unfortunately, these are all the methods which, when you apply, you will not be considered at all because you will not come through. This is what is happening in the academies for selection of fellowship, awards. Of course, I don't say for me. For me, I have got all these awards. For me, absolutely no problem because maybe I fight with people. It may be one of the reasons. So, but my point is how taxonomies are neglected today. This is one example because they don't be considered for this award, this because there is no impact factor. And citation index, oh yes, his index is almost 300, 3000, 4000 citation index. Suppose you publish a new species or a new family, one new species of Euphorbiaceae I publish. How many people will cite that? How many people will cite? Absolutely nobody will cite that. But to publish a new species, new to science, one has to do so much of exercise. I know that. So therefore, my work is so important, but the public think that there is nothing new in this. No citation value, no impact factor. So this is a negative point for taxonomies. Zeal and enthusiasm among the students and even teachers. Even teachers are not, zeal and enthusiasm is not there. And lack of good herbaria. Now, if any university you go, is there a herbarium? No herbarium. All the physiology laboratories well equipped, molecular biologist laboratory well equipped, ecology laboratories well equipped. But taxonomy, herbarium is their laboratory. Is there a herbarium? No. To keep dead plants, why do you waste so much of money? Almirah, you put it on the top of the Almirah somewhere in that corridor. Some corridor, some unwanted space is given to the taxonomy. He has to put in some of the newspaper or something on the top. This is the kind of apathy that is shown to be. There is no person to say strongly no. If you are taking a physiology laboratory for you, I need a herbarium for taxonomy. Argue, that kind of argue can be done by a teacher who is strong in himself. Then only it is possible, because if a substantial teacher, a substandard teacher who teaches molecular biome, I have been asked to teach molecular taxonomy, I'm teaching, so okay, I'm telling the character. So he will not fight for the subject. That is what is happening. Herbaria today, universities consider it is a place where dead plants are kept. Herbarium is not a place where dead plants are kept. Please understand. This is the herbarium I just shown. This is a 300 years old technology, nothing new, as I said. But this has stood the test of time, one of the perfected system, so we follow. But herbarium is not a place dead plant. This is it a repository of dead plants? I have given several lectures on the importance of the herbaria. Each one point is so important that I can talk for 1 hour. So herbarium, for example, I will give you one or two correct identification from where it comes. It is from the herbarium only. Global number of species today we talk 3 million species are there. From where it comes, it is from the herbarium. Now, the Prime Minister of the country asks you, as a college principal or the vice chancellor of the university, I need a complete list of medicinal plants of Tamil Nadu. From where it comes? You cannot say, sir, I will collect the plant and give me 5 years' time, I will give you. You cannot say. Immediately you have to give them. So go to the herbarium, make a complete list. It is a repository of plants with data. It is a complete data bank on plants. Entire thing is there. Or he may ask, I want to know all anti-jaundice plants of the country. Give in one place, it will come. This is exactly everything. Anything you want to do, immediately it will come. And I want to know the suppose you publish a particular species. It may be completely wrong. Whatever the name you have used is a completely wrong. If there is no herbarium, you cannot say which is the plant you have worked on that. I will give one or two examples at the end again. So it plays an impact. And in the climate change, that also I will tell you how herbarium will help. Herbarium will help in the study of climate change. So it is a very big and helps in reselection of species extinct in the wild. A species is extinct, but we can take the seeds and using the biotechnological tools, we can reselect the species. A number of functions. Herbaria has a number of functions, but understand it is not a place where simply dead plants are kept. I think that's the one thing I want to emphasize. No recognition for taxonomies by scientific academies, where normally contributions of taxonomies are compared with modern biologists. I told about this. And taxonomy being a synthetic discipline, good orthodox taxonomies have proved substandard experimentalists, apathy toward the subjects, and today taxonomies are only treated as Namkaran Pandits only. And computer databases, again, as I said, computers are all very, for me also, it is a very difficult thing. I am facing a lot of problem. I think this is because of the conservative nature of the taxonomies. We have not been trained in some of these modern areas. So that's why computer program, the what you call the developing computer databases. Today, large number of, anywhere you go, computer databases are developed by non-taxonomies. It is not the taxonomies who are developing the computer databases, but others. They are all good in developing computer databases. But the entire data come from taxonomies. But in doing so, if the taxonomies are not there, what will happen is, yes, I will say Saida acuta wall. There is a hypothetical example, Saida acuta wall. I will write, wall is authority name. I think you all know that. Wall is for Wali. So wall he will include. And the same person, if he is not a taxonomy, wall will say, suppose some other flora, it will write Saida acuta walich. He thinks it is a different one. So he includes that also. With the result, in the database, instead of 18,000 species, it will be 30,000 species in India. So unless the taxonomy, correct taxonomy is there, even you will, in developing a database also, you will not be successful. So taxonomies are needed, right? So therefore, I want you to read both this, but at least the first one you read. Taxonomies are a vanishing tribe among biologists and are today overshadowed by the so-called and more often second-rate biotechnologists and environmentalists. So this is a statement given by Koshu, one of our greatest biologists of our country. No more now, he was secretary in the ministry. Koshu says at one place, this is the one. It's a vanishing tribe. They are more or less overshadowed by the so-called often second-rate biotechnologies. He is a very good person, I will say. If I were to be in Koshu's place, I would say overshadowed by third-rate biotechnologists, I will say. So this is the one. Even he is simply a biotechnologist, he will be put ahead of an excellent taxonomist. He may be an excellent taxonomist, there may be a third-rate biotechnology, but third-rate biotechnology will find a better place. So this is the today trend is this, that people think that taxonomy, there is nothing. If there is a conference or some such thing, yes, all modern biologists sit in the front and taxonomists sit at the extreme end. And you ask, where is sitting? Go front. Oh, they are all big scientists, so I will sit here only. So they have developed that kind of inferiority complex, which one should not do. If you are strong in yourself, you should always say, if you are a number one molecular biologist in the country, I am number one plant taxonomist in the country. So that kind of strong thing you should try to put in your this thing, so that taxonomy can develop. Now, this slide, I think I want you to see. There is taxonomy crisis. Everywhere people talk, taxonomy is in crisis today. What is taxonomy crisis? It is taxonomic impediment. Oh, yeah, the identification is a big problem throughout the world, not only in India. Identification is a big problem. Where this plant occurs, we do not know. All this non-availability of taxonomic information is considered as taxonomic crisis. Non-availability of taxonomic information. But I will say it is more than taxonomic crisis. Taxonomy itself is in crisis today in India. Why? Because of the fact I said. Because taxonomy is apathy, all this I told. Taxonomy itself is in crisis. It is not taxonomic crisis. Botanical Survey is there. National Botanical Research Institute is there. Some of the university teachers are there who can always give you the taxonomic information. In my opinion, more than taxonomic crisis, taxonomy itself has become a crisis. Now, they say all this taxonomic crisis can be solved by putting all your information on computer, cyber initiatives. He says you put every information, cyber initiative. Now, I will put every information on the internet, put everything information. Will you be able to identify the plant? I must ask this question to everybody. I have put all the information. Will you be able to identify any of these plants? Why unnecessarily make statements like erratic statements, I will say. Now, there are so many what are called worldwide based taxonomy related projects. I have just listed only some 7, 8. There are hundreds of projects, all put on information on the web. All information is available now. Can you identify the plant now? Without taxonomists, you cannot do. And the added to that, the great man comes now. Now, alternative to taxonomy. He says there was till recent years, taxonomy was to be, plants were to be identified by taxonomies. But today, there's, hey, today molecular identification, DNA barcodes are there, our related technologies are there. I have given the reference there. So there are molecular identification. What molecular identification you are all doing, I don't understand. Can you identify? I will give a plant from Andaman to a molecular biologist, let him identify the plant. Can it be done? And he says, next sentence you read, why invest in training taxonomists if machines can do the job? It's a foolishness. I will say it is a foolishness. If machines can do the job, if there is a machine which can directly identify your plant, taxonomy should be closed. Even I myself will resign from taxonomy. But I don't think there is any machine by just pressing the button, the plant name will come. Because plants are variable in nature. You cannot feed a set of characters because it is a dynamic system. The species vary. You cannot identify a plant with a machine. So therefore, people say, why do you invest in taxonomy when machines can do the job? Take a machine and identify your plant. All your taxonomic impediment will be solved. Can it be possible? I don't think it is possible. So therefore, I call it is a utter foolishness, right? But we have, as orthodox taxonomists, during the last few decades, we have wonderful. I will pat my back myself because we have done a lot of things. What are the things? All the floras we have published, so many floras we have brought. Today, what we know, how many species are there, where all the species grow, all that what is occurring in the world, in India, we know. Compared to others, what we have done, you should come out like this. What all these things we have done, I have just listed. Orthodox taxonomies we have done. All this we have done. Updating nomenclature of several thousands of species, biodiversity assessment of threatened plants, all that we have done, right? And there are also shortcomings. At least there are many shortcomings. I have listed a few in the plant taxonomy. But anyway, all the subject, there are some third-rate taxonomies will be there. Same is the case here also. That is, inventorization is incomplete. Substandard flora. Substandard flora means take 5 floras and sixth flora you can write yourself, copying, cut and paste. Now the computer helps in cutting and pasting and easily. So this kind of substandard floras are being published, which makes me feel bad, and that should be curtailed. Now this is what is happening, is that's a shortcoming among our taxonomies. And They are unable to appreciate the new knowledge. Many of them, they do not appreciate the new knowledge. No, they will stick to their own old knowledge and incomplete revisionary studies, shortcut methods in identification of taxa. This is another thing. Even in the Botanical Survey of India, where it's supposed to be the highest uh, um, type of taxonomy should be there, here also a shortcut method. The moment you bring a plant, they will not dissect it out and identify how many stamens, what is the inferior, superior ovary, what characters are there, they will not see. They simply take the plant, go to the herbarium, it looks like Malvaceae, go to the Malvaceae plant, come, oh yes, yes, it tallies with this. This is Malva sylvestris. So this kind of shortcut methods of identification people are doing, with the result, no characters they will be able to say. If you get another plant in any field, you will not be able to identify the plant. A good taxonomist is one who is able to identify any plant that is given from the any surface of the earth. That is the one. Suppose I am given a plant from Russia, you identify this. I should be able to identify the plant. Only thing is I must know from where you collected. Yes, from Russia. Take all Russian floras and run down the trees, dissect it out, identify the plant. That is the one. A good taxonomist is one. You cannot, oh, Russia plant, I don't know. You cannot say. So this is the shortcut method of identification. All will be failure which comes to identification of the plants. Duplication of work, these are the ones. Future prospects. Future prospects are many in our country. Lot of future prospects are there because still lot of things have to be done. Now, these are all some of the emerging challenges. Number one is biodiversity assessment, including infra-specific diversity. We have not done. I think that we should do. Shifting to cyber taxonomy, put all your data in the net, putting to, that is the one thing we have not done. Popularization and resurrection of the discipline. The resurrection of the discipline, it is dying now. Popularization in number of intensive training programs we should conduct. Neither the government gives money, nor there are any such teachers who can enthuse the teachers and students in the country. So therefore, popularization is a very big challenge now today. If the same trend continues for another 10, 20 years, taxonomy will completely disappear. You will go to UK or Berlin, some herbarias, sir, please identify my plant. You will go and beg them, that day will come. And balancing the new information. But taxonomy is undergoing a revolution in the 21st century. You see why? Because you can, I put so much of information in this note. About only 90% of the world species are still to be described. 90% of this, what we know is 10%. 90% still to be described. That means you can imagine the amount of work that needs to be done. So therefore, no other person, no molecular biologist can do, no biotechnologist can do. It is only the taxonomy. Therefore, my um, subsistence is 100% guaranteed. I am 100% guaranteed. Means I am talking of taxonomy. Taxonomy, whether you like it or not, will survive because 90% still remains to be done, and that has to be done by taxonomies. No other person. I am not afraid you will come and do, or that fellow will come and do. No, right? And similarly, about 69,000 species of fungi have been known, but still 1.5 million are uh, believed to exist. Still, so much is there, right? Global number of flowering plants, for example, could rise from almost 272,000 to 3 million. I have just written, and in India, 18,500 to almost 22,000 species. I think it should go. It is only a simple figure I am just telling. So therefore, there's so much to do, and at this hour, if I have to do, all right, no, it is a synthetic discipline. You please do chemo, cyto, histo, morpho, molecular taxonomy, all that you do and then identify. Then entire my 40 years of life, I do identify only one plant. Now, have we so much of time at our disposal? The problem is flora is fast disappearing. Every year, flora is disappearing. By the time one species we identify, all will disappear. Therefore, whether you like it or not, orthodox method of identification and orthodox taxonomy has to continue. Although for teaching purpose, for knowledge purpose, you can practice so-called biosystematics. So therefore, taxonomy will certainly regain its past glory and undergoes a revolution in the 21st century. This is what I have written at the end. So with all these impediments, with all these attacks, now, for example, cytology came at one time immediately. Cytology, you should use chromosome number and behavior in meiosis. All this is very important. You should use. So cytotaxonomy, people started cytotaxonomy. Then embryology in relation to taxonomy started. Then came anatomy in relation to taxonomy. They attacked. Now today, all these subjects are dead by themselves. Cytology is dead, anatomy is dead, ecology is dead, embryology is dead, all this dead. But taxonomy, will it be dead? No, taxonomy will always remain, because without taxonomy, you cannot do any of the other areas. So therefore, taxonomy will certainly regain its past glory. Now today, molecular biology has come and sitting on the top, and let us see how long it will be there. Taxonomy to accommodate new technologies, yes, I agree. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm bringing back that slide. I'll bring back that slide. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you see? Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah, you can move the slide little better.
Yeah, it's available. Yeah, we can see it now, sir.
okay. Okay.
Sir,
So
you
now,
can enlarge the slide little bit, sir.
can you now? Okay.
The font size are yes. Now it is okay. Good. Yes, sir. Yes.
That's okay, Professor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I am not good in taxonomy. This computer, yes, good in taxonomy, no doubt. Now, what should be taxonomy do now? Taxonomy, I told, it is in all spheres we need taxonomy. Now, I'll talk about the classification now. Earlier, I said about all the natural system, and when Dobzhansky, he, of course, you all know, he's a very Dayan in biology, no doubt in it. He said at one place, nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. Now, this is a statement. Nothing in biology makes sense except, if I have to identify a plant, why should I bring evolution? My argument. If I have to classify a plant, why should I bring evolution? If I have to name a plant, naming of plant, not classification, okay. If I have to name a plant, evolution has to be brought in. How can I bring evolution in that? So therefore, this universal statement, nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution, I will not accept in certain cases, right? Now, phylogenetic, based on this phylogenetic system of classification. Now, I will not talk much on this. Hutchinson, Takajan, Cronquist, these were supposed to be the highest phylogenetic system of classification at one time. So much of support was given, and everybody talked of Cronquist system of classification. Today, these are all rejected. Today, APG system of classification has come. What is APG system of classification? It is entirely DNA based, DNA sequencing technology, molecular based, actually molecular based APG system of classification. Now, this is a classification. Again, I want to argue on this so much. They have given a classification of the world plant also, and also Indian plants also we have classified according to classification. Now, it is major developed DNA sequencing technology. Now, it is entirely molecular based. Here, again, I want to argue on this. Same related species within the same related species, if the DNA sequence is completely different, they have made it a different species and it goes to in a different place. Now, whether we accept this, if you say variation pattern in biology is very important in classification, and if you believe in this APG system, variation is not at all important. Variation is neither necessary. They say variation is not at all important. Now, there is no taxonomy. If there is no variation, if only molecular basis, if it is different, yes, you make it a different species, all those. So this Again, I will not accept. I want to argue on this. A lot of arguments I have already made, but I want to argue on this, right? No, but in any case, APG system of classification is supposed to be the today the at the culmination, that is the highest of the phylogenetic classification, because it is not developed by one. Plus point is this: it is not developed by any one or two individuals. It is a group of scientists, molecular biologists throughout the world. All fellows have joined together in arriving at this conclusion. So therefore, one person may make a mistake, two person may. If there are 100 people, 100 people cannot make a mistake. So therefore, my satisfaction is yes, whether you like it or not, APG system of classification must be the highest type of phylogenetic system of classification over Cranquist, Tatsajan, Hutchinson, all these classification. So we should accept, and also now we should try to reorganize our herbarium. We are all familiar with Bentham and Hooker system of classification. Start with Ranunculaceae and with Labiaceae or Lamiaceae at the end, and say this is the system of classification. But today we have to reorganize our system. Now I know where Compositae comes, where Rubiaceae comes in the Bentham and Hooker system of classification. We are all familiarized because hundreds of years we have been spent on this in familiarizing, so we are all familiar. But today, APG system, I don't know in the APG system of classification where Barbaridaceae comes, where Primulaceae comes. I have to take half an hour to see where it comes. So this is the system. So to popularize this system and also to accustom the younger generation, at least I will not be able to do, the younger generation should familiarize with this system so that they are at ease whenever they go to the at Q they go, and Q it is all APG system. You cannot go, sir, where is my Barbaridaceae? You cannot ask in Q anybody. They will laugh at you. So you should know where your Barbaridaceae comes in the line of herbaria. You will immediately Almeiras you will go, you will take. So therefore, you should get familiarity with the APG system of classification. Everyone, I tell, particularly the teachers, they should be familiar with the APG system of classification. I told the study of climate change. I think my time is also getting. Yeah. No, taxonomy helps in climate change, but unfortunately, no university is teaching. How? I will give simply two examples. Go to a herbarium and take some 10 trees collected some 200 years ago or 300 years ago. 200 years ago, you go 10 trees and collect the data, which month it was collected, where it was collected, and when the date, whether it was in flowering or fruiting. Note down that. Go to the same locality today, after 200 years today, collect the same plant and see, and in the same month you collect, whether it is in flowering or fruiting. Any phenological changes in the phenophases of that particular sea is clear manifestation of climate change. Immediately we can say this is one way. This is one way of this kind of research we have not done. Neither it is taught in any of the universities. The other thing is go to the highest altitude. Now, whichever the plant collected in India, in the Himalaya, which is the highest plant occurring the highest altitude. See that. Go to the herbarium and see some 200 years ago. And today also you go to the same plant and collect in the same altitude, whether the altitude has come down or altitude has gone up. If the altitude has gone up, it is clear indication of temperature rise. So this is how you can study climate change, and taxonomy plays a major role in the study of climate change. I think this kind of some research now we should process in the coming days. We should take up this. This is that plant I told, Cleistonia. Now in forensic science, customs I told, in the international ports, it is necessary taxonomy should identify the plant. So therefore, training in taxonomy is necessary. Taxonomists are necessary in the international ports. Now taxonomists are to be appointed. No other, our custom officials are good in identifying the smuggled TV, smuggled radios, this kind of things, but they are not good in identifying the plant. Taxonomists are a must. After the CITES convention, all international ports, taxonomies are needed. So taxonomy, actually, there should be a chapter or teaching should be done in the universities on this. Similarly, in the forensic studies means identifying the culprits, and it helps a lot. So I will give simple one example. For example, today you are in Kanyakumari, or say you are in the Himalaya. You murder a person, and in 3 hours time you will be in Kanyakumari, because transportation is such fast now. It is possible in 3 hours time you will be in Kanyakumari. If somebody doubts, you must be a culprit. If you are a culprit, some doubt is there. What the forensic scientists do is they scan your body, your clothes, your ear, and all that, and try to identify whether some pollen is there, trichome is there, or any such plant parts, and see if that pollen belongs to a pinus species which do not occur in Kanyakumari. It is a clear indication, 100% certain, that you are there in Himalaya, so you are the culprit, you will be caught. So it helps in forensic taxonomy, helps in forensic. How many universities are being teaching this? These are all the things now you have to completely redraft the taxonomy syllabus and try to bring in new areas of taxonomy teaching and research so that taxonomy becomes interesting. That is the one. And taxonomy for common man. Now we know I showed Marling so many plants, so many interesting properties and all that. So I will write a flora, publish a flora which nobody uses. Now, on the other hand, your knowledge goes to a common man. There is a wild aromatic plant. Establish a distillery. Try to establish essential oils. Extract essential oils. You have your own. There is a medicinal plant. Go for value addition of that medicinal plant. That kind of knowledge for development of entrepreneurship, that is societal importance, common man, societal needs also taxonomy should be able to help. I think that's one thing. Biodiversity I have already taxed, and this is the last one, medicinal plants, I will say. A number of places taxonomy is useful for medicinal plant. Now, how much important medicinal plant learning I have talked. There is not a single global level product I told. Taxonomy helps in a large number of, I think I have made a big list of areas where taxonomy helps. Now I will go only for, say, correct identity and medicinal plant, fixing correct nomenclature medicine. These are the two things in the center, red ones. I will only talk of those two things, how it helps. Now, there are large number of innumerable cases of wrong identification of plants, right? And these could be mistakes in identity or anything, but your valuable information has gone under this. A clear example is Phyllanthus neururi. I think those of you who are not familiar understand this. Phyllanthus neururi is said to be a very wonderful anti-jaundice plant, medicinal plant, and if you Google it out, thousands of literature you get on Phyllanthus neururi, Phyllanthus neururi. So much of paper has been published by teachers and researchers in this country, right? And how much money you have spent in doing this, how many years you have spent, how much money you have spent in doing this, all government of India money you have spent, whichever the university you work, but you have published valuable information of Phyllanthus neururi and published it. But unfortunately, Phyllanthus neururi does not exist in India. It is an American plant. Somebody thinking that this is an Indian plant, or them identified, this looks like Phyllanthus neururi, named it. And it has gone hundreds of years, Phyllanthus neururi, Phyllanthus neururi. This is a solid case. Now, what is the Indian plant then? There are three plants which are very similar to Phyllanthus neururi. What is that? Amurus, debilis, fraternus. All the three are very similar to Phyllanthus neururi. So whatever, suppose you have published some 20 papers on a plant of Phyllanthus neururi, and if I say today, no, Phyllanthus neururi does not exist, your question will be, then what is my plant? My answer is, your plant could be any one of these three. How he is comfortable now? How he will be able to say which is this my plant? Because none of our biologists, even today, have that bad habit of not keeping any voucher specimens. They don't maintain voucher specimen and publish the papers. In the absence of any voucher specimens, thousands of papers that have been published under Phyllanthus neururi, I will have to make a bundle and put it in the river Ganges because it's of no use. On which plant you have published your data, we don't know. Neither you also know. Because if there is a voucher specimen, I can tell, yes, sir, this plant I have identified, this is Amurus. At least change your information. This is debilis, I can say. But in the absence of voucher specimen, thousands of wonderful information has gone under a plant which does not exist. So this is one just example I have given. And in my list, this is a key how I will segregate. Similarly, the Picrorhiza, Kurua, Scapularifolia, Berberis, ginseng, all these plants go under wrong this thing. So therefore, there is a need that taxonomy should be strengthened. Not only strengthened, but I think it should be diversified in different areas now to make it more interesting and people, first of all, the biotechnologists and biologists should think taxonomy is a, a, a fascinating discipline. Unless this comes, they all think, hey, this is a bring a dead plant, identify the plant, there is nothing new. So therefore, taxonomy will not improve. And unless trained taxonomists are made to teach taxonomy, go for research, taxonomy will always die. I will not go much now because there is so much I have written. How to promote taxonomy discipline I have written. Some of you can read this, and also concluding remarks. Yes. So this is the point I just wanted to say. I hope I have not taken more time than what was allotted to me. Dr. Tangraj, now I will give it to you. Thank you so much. And those of your teachers and students who want to share my slides, you can always feel free to share my slides. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for your enlightened talk on plant taxonomy. So we have received a few questions in the chat box.
Okay,
Shall I
please ask.
proceed? Yeah. So this is a question from Dr. Saubaringa. How to access the list of changed plant name? Please tell me the source where we have to access.
Okay, yeah. How to stop the see at the global level? There is a book, Plant Names. There is a book published by Cho, Plant Names by Brumet. It is there. And in India, there are large number of publications have come, name changes in Indian plants and all that. And one book some few years ago we have already published by Bennett, name changes in Indian plants. In fact, if you see that, there is a consolidated at that time. Now, subsequently, many more plants and name changes have come that you will have to see under literature only. You will have to see name changes in Indian plants. Yes, there are too many publications are there. Yeah. Anything?
So what? Yeah, proceed, sir.
Yeah. If there are any, are you satisfied? I don't know who is the person. See, if you want to.
Yes, actually, she was posted her question in a chat box. I am representing her question.
There are innumerable papers on name changes in Indian plants. There are some books also. And suppose you take, say, Flora of India. Now we are publishing the Flora of India by the Botanical Survey of India. The latest volume will definitely give the new names only. We don't give the old names. So therefore, you refer, I will say, Botanical Survey of India, Flora of India, all new names come. Or any recent flora. You can use any recent flora, you'll get the new names. Okay.
Yeah. So this is another question posted by our student Rasim Robert. So this is a question. This is a question pertaining to the previous session.
Read.
Yeah, there is always a difficult in collecting the information about the ethnomedicine or ethnomedicinal species from indigenous people.
Yeah, you see.
I let me complete, sir.
Yeah, I will tell you, I have not elaborated. Ethnic knowledge, we have enormous ethnic knowledge. Suppose you go to a tribe, you please give me the what for it is used immediate. Why should he give? First of all, this question is why should he give to you? This is the question now. It is quite common sense. Suppose you are a cytologist, I will come. You please give me the chromosome numbers of all material of species of Papillonacea. Will you give? Nobody will give. So therefore, there is a method of extracting the information. You should develop familiarity with them. You should be one among them. You should spend long time with them and convince them that your information will not be misused, but it is for the welfare of your tribe as human welfare. For example, I will tell you Schultz, for example, in the Amazon 20 years among the Amazon, he lived with them, he used the same dress, he was eating their food, he was one among them. So that kind of research we cannot do in India. I know we go in one morning, we go in the evening, we return and try to collect a few. That's why information that we collect may not be 100% accurate. That is what, please understand this. What we collect is only marginal, but effort should be made. There are 550 ethnic tribes. Wonderful information is there. Effort should be made to extract the information using proper ethnobotanical. There is a paper of mine, how to extract ethnobotanical information. I think some of you should read that. There is a method of extracting ethnobotanical information from the Adivasis. I think that's as you said, immediate is not so easy. They will not give you. At the moment you go, you give me information, nobody will give. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So one more question from Dr. Johnny, our faculty member. I
Okay.
think he's in the room, Google room only. Dr. Johnny, yes.
Please ask.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So in APG system, classification system, so how significant is the splitting of families, Verbinaceae or Lamiaceae that has been split,
Yeah,
and
this is
Euphorbiaceae,
what
Philanthacea
I
that has been.
I have normally when I go, I give a separate talk on APG system of classification. I do not
Okay,
accept
sir.
this. In fact, as a person, splitting apocynaceae, this is example I told about the importance of variation pattern in plants and their classification. Apocynaceae and Asclepidaceae, according to Bentham and Hooker, there is a clear-cut variation pattern in these two families. Now, what is that? Yes, there is a clear-cut difference between the what is called the gynecidium you will find there, which you will not find here. Corolla and corona you find. That is a distinguishing feature between these two families. Now, if somebody asks me that you merge both, I will not accept this personally. I may not like it, but the world view today is the APG system is considered to be the highest phylogenetic system of classification, including Kew and Missouri Botanical Garden. Some of the international herbaria, they have all classified their herbaria now. They have converted that into APG system of classification. If not today, tomorrow, even in India, all herbaria have to change this to APG system, whether you like it or not. Personally, yes, I don't like. Now, Lamiaceae, Verbinaceae, take a good example you have given. Lamiaceae, Verbinaceae are distinct. Why should I merge both? Lamiaceae has got a set of characters, Verbinaceae has a set of character. The triangular, quadrangular stem, aromatic nature, and also the what you call that inflorescence in the typical inflorescence, which you don't find in Verbinaceae. So therefore, I believe in the variation pattern is definitely and also there is a good example. For example, Nymphaceae, you take Nymphaceae, Nymphia nilumbo, right? Nymphia and nilumbo are we have placed according to Bentham and Hooker, are the any classification is one family, Nymphaceae. Now in the APG system, Nymphia comes in a Nymphia comes as a primitive family in the earlier families where Magnoliaceae and other that sect come. It comes as a primitive family, whereas Nilumbo goes to a much higher position and it is placed at some other place where some highly evolved families are there. Now, do you accept this? Nymphia and Nilumbo
Okay,
having same character is segregated based on molecular basis. It is no morphology molecular basis. So therefore, my view is as a as personal this thing, I will not support APG system of classification. But yes, today the trend is such molecular based phylogeny classification is the ultimate. Yes, that we have to do. That is my view. Yes, are you satisfied?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Similarly, the monocots, for example, monocots, the evolution of monocots we see, we have very clear-cut uh, demarcation of monocots. They say monocots and dicots segregation is not accepted. In APG, monocot, dicot is not accepted at all. Some of the families of dicots come, then monocots come,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
come.
That
If you are
is there.
familiar, you have seen? Yeah. So
Yes,
this I
sir.
will not
Yes,
accept.
sir.
Any cost I will not accept. But my point is, it is not my opinion. But we have to go by the all so-called the universal molecular biologists because, as I said, it is developed not by one person. More than 50 group of 50 people have put in their brain and work based on the molecular basis. They have classified this. I think it needs refinement. Even APG system also refinement because APG1, APG2, APG3, now APG4 has come. So this refinement should go on. And yes, you should also write if there are any such cases, write to the APG conservation, this thing, secretariat, so that they should incorporate whatever the discrepancies are there. I have already indicated that this discrepancy, you please look into that. Molecular biologists look into that. Yes, that is the one. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for answering all the questions posted by our participants.
Okay.
Yeah, with this, we come to this first day session end. So we are going to conclude the session. So with this, we wind up the session also. So tomorrow we will
Thank you.
start the second day session by 10:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
So we have
Okay.
posted
Morning,
link at the
before that, just give 1 or 2 seconds, Francis.
Yes.
Francis?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. See, on the behalf of the committee professors, it's a very lengthy lecture, but a very useful professor, Rob, because I was attending your lecture for the past few years. Every lecture, something it is different, and you are stressing that how that the controversy is going on between the classical and the modern. Very useful, especially for like the botany students. Very informative, and what that we need really now. So that you just highlighted very neatly and very clearly. So on the behalf of Dr. Francis Xavier, I thank you once again, Professor Rob, for this valuable or very wonderful, tireless talk, Professor. Thank you very much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your uh, gratitude and proposing vote of thanks to the resource person. So we have posted 3 feedback link. Yeah, so far we posted 2 feedback link in the chat box for all these 4 session taken place today. So please fill the feedback and send the feedback to us. Tomorrow we will start the second day session by 10:15 a.m. So please be join with us on time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Francis. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you very much. Good luck.